Dillner and Jim Trado. There's going to be so much. We're going to try to keep you informed. There's going to be so much going on with pit strategy. I don't know what the right answer is, but we are going to find out, and one of these teams is going to find out and be $15,000 richer at the end of the night.
Pace car begins to pull away, and soon to be followed by the likes of Justin Bonsignor and John McKennedy, our front row starters. Luke Baldwin, Austin Beers in row 2. 3 of those 4 former or reigning NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour champions. And then there's Luke, a 2-time Southern champion. As we take a look at the grid, brought you through the front couple of rows already. Row 3, Jimmy Blewett and Ryan Preece, Michael Christopher Jr. and Ryan Newman in the 4th row. Then it's Eric Goodale and Max Zackham. Steven Kopsick, last year's Rookie of the Year, will start in row 6 alongside Matt Hirschman.
Yeah, big money Matt Hirschman going for the championship this year. One of the last things he has to cross off his modified bucket list. You see Craig Lutz and Tyler Ripkema, Bobby Labonte, Ron Silk in row 8. Patrick Emmerling, last year's winner, alongside rookie Teddy Hodgkin in the 05 in row 9. Mark Stewart and Carson Lofton in that Hartwig number 73 in row 10. Jimmy Zacharias in that awesome throwback scheme to his grandfather and Joey Coulter round out row 11, and Tommy Catalano and Jeremy Gerstner will round out row 12.
That'll bring up front 24. Further back, Kyle Bonsignor and Trevor Catalano, Sam Ramo, and Timmy Solomito. Ken Hagee needing to use a provisional to get into tonight's race, along with John Michael Chanette, Mike Marshall, and Andrew Kraus, the final of our 32 starters. As the field comes around to complete the first of 4 scheduled parade and pace laps, gives us the opportunity to take one more swing down pit road and bring in 2 more voices part of tonight's broadcast. We'll start with Bob Dillner down on the pit lane.
Well, Kyle, it could be showtime tonight. Jimmy Blewett out of Howell, New Jersey, making his return to the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour for the first time in a couple of years. Jimmy, just a long-time competitor here at New Smyrna Speedway. He's won a bunch of races here, both in Tour-type mods and SK Modifieds. But this ride with the Gershow Recycling number 2 machine is a new ride for him. Qualified 5th. He's pumped up, excited. They totally redid those race cars. And he's got Justin Link that he actually met this morning, invited him to actually work on that car. We know how good Justin Link has been in Southern Modified racing. Watch for showtime here tonight, Jim.
And Bob, when it comes to the attention, the longest line of the autograph session deservedly belongs to Ryan Preece from Berlin, Connecticut. This number 40 car is the family car. He's only missed 1 year since 2005 racing here in the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing, and he's about to begin and hopefully a quest for his first ever NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour win here. He does have 13 modified wins. They call it tour type modifieds here that run all week long, but this car was only run once last year. I knelt down next to the nerve before qualifying. I said, what'd you do to the car between then and now? He said, I don't know. My dad keeps track of it in Connecticut. I just know it's ready when I need it. But he's more importantly back home where he belongs. He loves coming here to New Smyrna Speedway. This is his 8th full-time Cup season, but he said, man, I can't start my year without coming here to New Smyrna Speedway. That includes the 45-minute nap he got after winning that Cookout Clash on Wednesday. Yeah, 45-minute nap later, he was here at New Smyrna, shaking down his super and his modified.
Jim Trado, you said it. These 2 guys in the 3rd row, Jimmy Blewett and Ryan Preece, back home on the modified tour, and it's great to see him. One guy you and I talked about, Kyle Rickey, is starting on the outside of the front row, and that's John McKennedy. He's been super fast all day. He led first practice. He qualified 2nd. He taught Justin Bonsignor how to qualify. Justin said that. I look for big things out of this 79 tonight.
Former champion and looking for his first win here at the New Smyrna Speedway here on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour as they come around to complete another parade and pace lap. Yeah, keep an eye on John McKennedy here tonight. A lot of strategy on the line here this evening, and over 200 laps we'll see these cars on and off of the pit lane, including the new American Racer tires. We don't know, a lot of question marks about how that tire will last here tonight. Last year, the longest run, just 47 green flag laps. Let's hear from more of the strategy options now with Bob Dillner.
Well, I just polled a lot of the crew chiefs down here on the front half of pit road, and I said, hey, what are you going to do in terms of strategy? And a lot of them just scratched their head and said, we don't know. This American Racer tire, good tire, but it's definitely different than what we're used to. So will you see a guy stop early and try to stay out because they say this tire lasts longer? That's a big question. I'm told by most of these teams that around the lap 75 to go mark will probably be the last time anybody stops for tires.
And a couple extra laps here, Kyle, Ricky, to get some heat in these tires. Although it is warmer than the Northeast here, still a bit cool down here for Florida. We're coming back to 1 to go.
Crowd here at New Smyrna Speedway about to be on their feet, waving these drivers on as they get the 1 to go signal off of turn number 4. Crowd comes alive. Cars will come alive in 1 lap from now. Bonsignor, McKennedy, Baldwin, Beers, Blewett, and Priest make up the front 3 rows. A lot of familiar names. Set to lead the field to the green flag. Great crowd on hand. The first of 16 races here on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour this season. Glad you could tune us in here on Flow Racing. Field in turn number 2. 32 of the pest lined up behind the safety car. Lights are out. It's expected to head to pit lane here in just a moment. And we'll take the green flag for 200 laps in the New Smyrna Beach Area Visitors Bureau 200.
Kyle, I'm nervous just watching. These guys are ready to go. Pace car dives off of turn number 3 and 4. We're just a couple feet away from starting the 41st season of NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour competition. They're in the restart zone. Bonsignor brings them down slow. And good launch from the field. They're off.
Green is out. We're underway. Justin Bonsignor brings the field to turn number 1. At inside lane gets the jump. McKennedy in second. Still nose to nose for third. Baldwin has the advantage going into turn number 3, driving in a bit deeper as he'll retain that spot. A lap number 1 in the books. It's Bonsignor trying to scamper away from McKennedy.
Everybody playing nice so far. Jockeying for position. Listen, Jimmy Blewett, he's taking it. He's up to 4th position. As you see, Beers taking it easy on the outside, saving those tires. We're going to see, man, this is when the strategy is going to start. I don't expect these guys to save as much as they had with the Hoosiers. The one thing that Justin Bonsignor had mentioned, and a lot of these competitors, is that the grip doesn't quite shut off like the Hoosiers did, so you can run them harder a little bit longer, but you're still going to try to save some on this front run because there's going to be a decision to be made on these first couple cautions that we get. Do you take right side tires? Do you take rears? So if you do take right, you're going to have to save that left rear because this place, the straightaways are long. You need as much drive as you can get.
Beers backsliding a bit. Newman slipped up over in turn number 2. A car has spun to the bottom of the racetrack over in turn number 1. And the caution flag comes out for the first time here. So an action-packed opening 4 laps of this event. And it is Tommy Catalano that went around the apron of turn number 1 and looks like he has the car refired. We'll continue on. We'll stay on the lead lap, so it should be a fairly brief caution flag here. Just 4 laps into this event, all of which have been led by Justin Bonsignor. Had a few early cautions a year ago as well, as these drivers and teams kind of get the bugs out. First laps of the new season.
Yeah, the wheel and caution lights definitely got to work out last year. These are the wheel and caution. Wheel and caution lights are on. Whelen, the official lights of NASCAR, trusted to protect first responders.
Get a good look at 54, who will restart to the tail end of the field for Tommy Catalano, who brought out the caution flag here just a moment ago. It's Justin Bonsignor at the point. He's led all the laps thus far from the pole. John McKennedy in the 2nd position. Luke Baldwin, Jimmy Blewett, Ryan Priest. Quick 5 laps. What do you learn in the first 5 laps about your race car? So I had a couple of drivers get up and out of the groove and have some pretty big saves, including Ryan Newman, who lost a spot or 2, as did Austin Beers. But other than that, what have these drivers soaked in?
Well, you're just trying to learn what your race car is doing, if it's driving through the right front, what it's doing on cold tires, because you're starting on low air pressure now, which you probably didn't do so much in practice. So you got you have a long run before you get to put tires on, so your tire pressures are down. But one thing that you'll see, and I didn't see what happened with Tommy, I just saw him stopped over there, but you'll see guys kind of do the Stafford line into 1. And what I talk about there is you kind of shortcut into 1 and slide job almost.
Yep.
And with cold tires, especially with the American racers being a little bit harder, if you get in there just wrong and you clip your right front on somebody's Nerf bar, it'll spin you right around. So I wonder if that's what happened there.
Let's hear more from Tommy Catalano's pit and Bob.
Well, what happened down there, guys, I just spoke to Tommy Catalano's team, and they said he and Jimmy Zacharias had a disagreement about the space on the racetrack. There was a little incident down there, but no damage to Tommy's car whatsoever. So he's A-OK, but that's what really shook down there in the corner.
Yeah, and that's two hard-nosed racers going for it at the beginning. And like I said, you're jockeying for position with how long the straightaways are here. You're always setting yourself up for the exit of the corner. So if somebody tries to shortcut turn one like that, and they kind of get down on the apron and try to use you up, you can hold them down. And if you're able to get that Nerf bar on somebody's right front, it kills momentum, but sometimes it also spins them out. And if you can get your right front a little bit ahead of the guy on the outside, you kind of doink them up the racetrack and use their left front up. We're going to see that all night. So the problem spots tonight are going to be in the turn one and off of turn four.
Is that an official term? Doink?
Doink, yes. That is what I like to use.
Field lining up in their rows of two as we get set for the restart here in less than a lap from now. Justin Bonsignor to the inside of John McKennedy. Then it's Luke Baldwin and Jimmy Blewett in that second row. Ryan Preece to round out the top five.
Another thing these guys haven't done is they haven't restarted on these American racers. So you get a heat cycle, right? 5 laps probably isn't enough, but we saw a big wreck on the front stretch here. And when the restart zones are on a straightaway like this, you see it at New Hampshire, you see it at Martinsville. If somebody misses a shift or gets a little squirrely with 3 1/4 inches of stagger, it stacks everybody up. You get laid over on that left rear and you'll see a big wreck on the front stretch that happened a year ago.
We're hoping it doesn't happen here tonight as they approach that restart zone now off of turn number 4 for the first time this season. Green flag is back up from Sean Houlihan, and we resume here on lap number 8 as they go back to the corner inside lane for the second restart in the row. Gets the jump. Justin Bonsignor to the inside. You're going to fan out further back for that runner-up spot. McKennedy went wide and opened the door for Baldwin now to take some advantage and racing room on the bottom.
And if there's one guy that wants to go, it's that number 2 Gershow ride with Jimmy Showtime Blewett. He's already using the Kronhorn. He wants to get going. You see Priest bottom out there into 1. That's that low pressure. And, you know, if he gets in too hard too early, that bottoming out can send him up the racetrack and into another competitor. As you see him, look, Ryan Priest is wasting no time trying to get to the front of this field.
Yeah, it sent him to 3rd and now potentially to the runner-up spot for Ryan Priest, who is wanting to get to the front of the field. Priest and Baldwin nose to nose for the second spot, just in front of that 79 of McKennedy in position number 4. Blewett in 5th in the 2. They really stack up behind them. Ryan Newman in the mix, but further toward the front, that runner-up position goes to Ryan Priest in the second spot in car 40.
Yeah, if there's one place that I know Ryan Priest wants to be, it's in the lead and dictating the pace of this race. If you get to the lead, you can kind of woe everybody back and you can run your own race. So track position is going to be key. As you see further on back, these guys are still 2 by 2 because the easiest time to make position is on restarts. They're jockeying around, trying to use each other up, trying to get better angles off the corner, and that's when you can see yourself go from 15th to 10th or 20th to 18th and get a couple in your upper row or 2 on the next restart where you can pick off some more. It's the easiest time to pass.
Priest right now running quicker lap times, or did last time, than Justin Bonsignor. Bonsignor a bit quicker this last time. Still about 4 car lengths between the top 2 as we watch the battle from 3rd on back. Luke Baldwin, Jimmy Blewett in the mix. Blewett taking that spot away just a half a lap or so ago. Baldwin drifting up the racetrack, and that'll open the door for John McKennedy, who is on the rebound just a bit, trying to regain some early lost spots in a race for position number 4. Austin Beers in that pack in the 64. Also Ryan Newman in the 4, and just out of frame, Michael Christopher hanging up in the top 10 as well in the 31.
One thing I didn't love to see there was the 64 is free already. He was a little bit loose off of 4. These cars, you want to start with when you race modifieds, you want to start with a tighter balance, and you don't want to smoke the rear off it, because with by the grace of God and 600 horsepower, you can really burn the rear tires off this thing. So if you see somebody struggling free, especially in the first 10, 20 laps of the race, it's only going to get worse, and I expect that to be the same with these American racers.
Continuing to watch the battle inside of the top 5, and to that point, how much has this track changed from the warmer temperatures earlier today in practice when it was in the mid-60s? We're into the 50s now and no sunshine to heat the surface.
Yeah, you know, we don't know, because the only thing that's touching this racetrack that has changed the temperature are these tires, and nobody has a ton of notes, especially when they did the test here, they did it during the day. It was cold then in December, but you never know with Florida. It could have been 80. I wasn't here. But you're going to be working on your car. Right now, everybody's kind of filed out, feeling their car out, and they're feeling which corner of the car they're using more. Are they using the right front too much? Are they using the right rear too much? Do they have good left rear drive? Which which tire they slipping the most. And one guy that's not worried about tires right now is Jimmy Blewett. He is back in the field, like we said, for the first time since 2023, and he wants the lead of this race. He is hunting down Justin Bonsignore.
Was able to get around Ryan Preece a lap ago, blew it up to the second spot, and is closed in on Justin Bonsignore for the race lead. What was 6 or 7 car lengths back, now less than 1 between the top 2. Another length back to Ryan Preece as we keep an eye on some racing. Middle of top 10, Michael Christopher Jr. has lost a couple of spots. Tyler Ripkema went by a lap or so ago. Ron Silk in that number 16, applying the pressure now over in turn number 3, and they have company as well. Eric Goodale, Craig Lutz, all lined up just in and around that 10th position as they go back to turn number 1. And again, Christopher slides up the racetrack. That opens the door for Ron Silk on the bottom.
Yeah, I was going to say the first guy out of line is Ron Silk. He wants track position. He wants to get up there, and you want to be moving forward, right? I know it's only 20 laps into the race, but you want to be setting yourself up all race long. And the next position you can get, like I said, will set you up for the next restart. We'll set you up for the next pit stop. So even though it's early, if there's somebody struggling in front of you, you want to get by them and get by them quickly without using up your tires to put yourself in better position, as Michael Christopher is hung on the outside as Goodale comes by as well.
Has his hands full right now for Michael Christopher Jr. Here comes Max Zackham further up, that number 20 to the inside of Luke Baldwin in the number 7 car. That's the battle for 7th and 8th on the Speedway, just in front of Old Blue, the number 3 of Tyler Ripkema. Ron Silk, and then you get back to Michael Christopher Jr., who is still having his hands full in the outside lane. Great racing, just out of the top 5. Front 6 or so have settled down. No real change up front. Still Bonsignore by 0.3 of a second over Blewett. Keep an eye on this pack of traffic from 7th on back as they come around to complete lap number 25.
Yeah, and we were talking about Max Zackham. Ever since he's got into this number 20 car, and him and Ryan Morgan have kind of merged their operations. They've won the SK 5K at Stafford. They won the Turkey Derby with this same car at Wall Stadium, a prestigious race at my home track. And they've been so good. As he gets flushed here by the 3 car, little commentator's curse. What I wanted to say about him, though, and they're already using the Nerf bars, what I did not like about what he was doing, as you can see, Ronnie kind of run him up the hill. That's what we're talking about. What I didn't like what the 20 car was doing earlier was he was using the apron to turn his car. And when you do that and you de-wedge the car, when you put the left front on the flat, it takes wedge out of your car, which the more wedge you have, the tighter you are. That's your cross weight on scales, and that'll burn your right rear tire off. And you can see Ron Silk here run the 20 up the track to get a straighter launch down the straightaway. He's going to clear him here in the 1. Max Zackham might run down there and run in the back and say, I didn't like that very much.
Going to tuck back in the line right on his back bumper off of turn number 4. In fact, going to lose a little bit of ground. Michael Christopher Jr. now applying some pressure in the 31. Christopher, he's got his hands full as well with Eric Goodale, who continues to dig hard on the bottom of the racetrack, trying to gain that spot. Again, all this racing now from 10th on back. Zackham in 10th, Christopher 11th, Goodale behind them in 12th. As we go back to the front of the field, Justin Bonsignore in the 51, still maintaining a 2-car length advantage over Jimmy Blewett. Ryan Preece unchallenged in 3rd, John McKennedy in 4th, and also in the 5th spot, Austin Beers. No real challenge for position among the top 6 as they get beginning to tiptoe away from the rest of the field.
And we talked about lap times and what the track is doing. Jimmy Blewett just ran the fastest lap, 18.009, right? Qualified at a 17.80. That was the fastest, but the majority of the guys were in the 18 flats. So this is a fast pace. This is a qualifying pace right now that these drivers are running. As Bonsignore starts to open it up a little bit more. Justin, the crafty veteran, 4-time champ, he's dictating the pace of this race. But if you're just trying to settle in and not burn your tires up, the last guy you want to see in your mirror is Jimmy Showtime Blewett. They call him Showtime for a reason.
In 2nd right now for Jimmy Blewett, making his return to the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour here this season. Practiced well, qualified well earlier today, and currently in position number 2 and slowly reeling in the race leader, Justin Bonsignore. A couple of cars out of shape mid-pack off of the corner. Everybody's okay. Craig Lutz being one of them in the 46 car as we watch a good 3-car race. It's been ongoing for a while. Up the back straightaway, here comes Silk to the inside of Ripkema. Bit of contact, and Silk into the outside wall in turn 3.
Man. Got some more wrecking behind him. You're going so fast at the end of these straightaways. When someone's parked there, you realize how fast. You don't really realize it until somebody's parked in front of you, but a tough start for this 16 team. The 2-time champ Ron Silk, the right front tore off of that ride.
Looks like will be the first car out of this event here tonight for Ron Silk. Right front peeled back and destroyed after contact with the outside wall up in turn number 3. That came after contact with Tyler Ripkema battling for position just into the top 10, racing for the 8th position at the time. That'll put us under the caution flag for the second time here tonight on lap number 35.
Oh, that's the worst thing you want. Phil Moran's been spending all year, all winter getting this car ready. Beautiful, one of the nicest cars in the pit area. And I can't wait to see a replay of this. Here it is as we roll. Ron's kind of there. Tyler chokes it off, and like we said, he just was kind of too far committed, and he clipped him with the right front. A lot of times when you clip with the right front like that, it picks the car up for a minute, takes all your braking power away, and then you just run out of racetrack. I wonder if it broke the right front when he hit him. It looks like it did.
So straight up and into the outside wall for Ron Silk. A couple of other cars stacked up behind them. They were able to keep rolling with minimal, if any, damage. Silk will go off on the hook and become the first car out of this one here tonight at the new Smyrna Speedway. Tough break for the 2-time champion. Not the kind of start you want because it's tough in a fairly short schedule. 16 races for the Tour to climb out of a deep hole.
Yeah, that's not as
especially
bad.
With a full field of cars, and you know you're going to lose 32 spots worth of points tonight by finishing in the final position. As we check in Ron Silk's pit with Bob.
I just spoke to the team for Ron Silk, and they said they're not happy with Tyler Ripkema right now. Some unneeded contact, according to this team, in terms of what happened between that 16 and the 3 down in the corner.
Yeah, and, you know, I'm sure there's right above us, the spotters, I'm sure there's a conversation going on because it's early in the race, right? Ron feels like he had the run, and he didn't think the 3 would choke it off like that. What I love about modified racing is there's not a lot of give and take, right? And Tyler Ripkema, like, he almost shaded down, like he was going to leave it open, and then he didn't at the last minute. And Ron went to fill that, like we said, to get the position, kind of run in there, get into his Nerf bar a little bit and move him up. And it just did not work out. The time did not work out at all. And unfortunately, the right front is ripped off of that 16 car.
Not a lot of give and take, but a whole lot of grab and go here for the NASCAR Modifieds. Saw some give and take in the opening laps of this event, especially at the front of the field, as these teams continue to adapt to the new American Racer tire that made its debut here with the Tour here tonight. And now that we have 37 laps into this event, 200 the distance, we'll see if any teams take advantage of perhaps an early pit stop.
Yeah, I wonder if this is the time to take fuel, right? They say they can go about 160 on fuel. So now would be the time. Now remember, unlimited attempts at a green, white, checkered. So at lap 37, you have to be forecasting that to see, like, okay, hey, we can take fuel now. It's going to be close. But if we get 2 or 3 green, white, checkers, cautions, breed cautions, you're going to be SOL for sure. So you're kind of thinking, like, if you take fuel now, you see a couple pit signs out. If you take fuel now, I see the 40. He's going to be aggressive. His pit sign is out. Pit road is open. Here they come.
Pit road is open, and all the front runners begin to make their way down the pit lane. We'll begin our coverage with Jim.
Ryan Priest, a narrow run here. He almost clipped the right front tire. The second place car just ahead of him. Blewett pitted behind Priest as they came around. Both are adding fuel. We're on that edge of the window, guys. They're hoping for a few laps of caution. Perhaps these cool temps make the caution laps longer. Fuel only for the cars coming in second and third, and Blewett and Priest. Bob?
It'll be interesting to see what the strategy is. It appears fuel only for Justin Bonsignor as well. He was completely satisfied with that race car and is doing exactly what he planned to do. Take control of this race from that pole winning spot. So right now, that 51 team battling for its 5th championship. So far, so good.
You see an absolute scrum on pit road here. I've pitted modifieds here before, and it is super tight. This is the closest. I actually pitted on that Gershow car. Me and Corey LaJoy changed tires on it maybe 15, 20 years ago, and it is so close down there. And some of these guys in the back half of the field actually sharing pit stalls. You see the 40 car come in and kind of block in the 2. That'll be a game they play all night, not even on purpose, but just because there's not a ton of real estate like you would see down the road at Daytona.
Not at all, especially when all of the teams left on the racetrack elect to pit on the same circuit, and we saw a full pit road a lap ago. Some drivers outside of the top 20 making their way onto the pit lane now as we get a look at the damage to the right front corner of the Ron Silk car after the incident up in turn number 3 to put us under the caution flag for the second time here this evening. Just a couple laps to go following contact with Tyler Ripkema up in turn number 3. Team surveying the damage. I think they've realized that there's not a whole lot they can do here tonight to get that car back on the racetrack.
Yeah, not very forgiving, this Central Florida concrete, that's for sure.
Back for the restart coming up here shortly from the new Smyrna Speedway, 39 laps in as Max Zackham continues to lead over Justin Bonsignor, Austin Beers, Jimmy Blewett, and Luke Baldwin. That's the current top 5 as we approach the 1/4 mark here tonight in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour season opener. Back in New Smyrna Speedway, just in time for the restart. We said nearly everybody was on pit road to take fuel under this caution. Everyone except for Max Zackham. He's out front, leads the field back to turn number 1 for the restart here and pushes Bonsignor way up the racetrack in turn number 2. Opens the door on the bottom as we have a spinner further back. That's Joey Coulter off of turn 2 and up the back straightaway as the leaders come around to take the third caution flag of the evening.
Now, you hate to see that if you're Max Zackham, right? Because now you've showed your card. You showed Bonsignor you're going to run him to the 5th lane.
And Bonsignor's not happy.
Bonsignor is not happy. So what happens when you get up there, right? And I wouldn't be happy either because you get up above that black and there's marbles from these tires. And when you get all those marbles on these 15-inch tires, they just want it. You lose all grip and you go straight to the fence. So I wouldn't be happy either. But one thing with Max Zackham not taking fuel, right? He's going to have to take fuel at some point.
All right, so the pace vehicle picks up the race leader for the 3rd time here tonight, but let's go back to the infield, hear from the driver involved in the last incident under the 2nd caution, and the first driver out of tonight's race. Ron Silk is with Bob Dillner.
Ron Silk battling for a championship in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, but Ron, what happened down there with that contact?
That 3 just didn't really give me much room. I got a wheel under him off of 2, and we got down into 3 and he just kept coming down to the bottom. I kind of like couldn't believe it, and all of a sudden my right front was up on top of him and just along for the ride. But disappointing way to start. We didn't qualify good, put us back to starting where we did. Was kind of working our way up through there pretty quickly, and disappointing finish to the night.
Bad break for Ron Silk, but he will contend for this championship this year.
A tough stat for Ron Silk that just came in. This is actually a really good stat. It's been over a decade since Ron Silk has finished last in a tour event. That's from Adam Fenwick, 2015 at Riverhead. But yes, I'd be frustrated too if I was Ron Silk. But the 3 car is also going to say, look, dude, you weren't there. I took what was mine. So it's just a disagreement in racing room.
A little bit of a disagreement in racing room on the last restart between Max Zackham and Justin Bonsignor. And Justin, when the field took the caution flag, gave Max a little tap to the back bumper and let him know that he was not a fan of that restart 3 laps ago. So how does Max change things up this restart? And in turn, how does Justin change things up?
Yeah, I think Max is going to be cognizant of running him to the 5th lane, but Max has already changed stuff up, right? He's the only one that's off sequence, and like I was saying before, he's going to have to pay the fuel tax at some point in time, so he's going to dump track position. So we talked about strategy. Is he going to pit one less time? Is he thinking he's going to only have to put tires on once? That might be something that this 20 team's going through.
Joey Coulter, the driver that brought out the most recent caution just a couple of laps ago with his spin off of turn number 2. Let's go to his pit stall and get a report from Jim Trado.
Checking in crew chief for Joey Coulter, Harold Holly, he said the car was just too loose. When it got out from under him, they said, hey, you know what, bring that thing and let's tighten it up. So they reached in to the above the right rear suspension inside the cockpit, made some adjustments, and sent Joey Coulter back out. But again, that car was just too loose, so he's got his veteran team going. Harold Holly, long-time involvement with Joey Coulter in this Rum Runner Racing, looking to do better here in their 12th tour start thus far.
Field lined up, ready to go on the back straightaway for the restart following the 3rd caution flag of this event. 46 laps complete, still a long way to go. 154 to run, 153 at the line. Max Zackham at the point right now. Justin Bonsignor to his right elbow as they come off the corner. Green flag back up from Sean Houlihan. See if we can string a few laps together here after a couple of early caution flags in this event as they go back to turn number 2. And again, Zackham drifts again way up the racetrack. This time will open the door for Beers on the bottom, the challenge for the race lead.
Yeah, and Austin Beers' team did a great job fueling their car. And hey, one thing that the championship did for him was give him that #1 pit stall. So that really catapulted him past a couple of cars. That moves you up a lane. You don't do the choose here in a modified series like you do in all 3 other national series. So that just puts you up a whole nother row, and now he's contending for the race lead.
Good race up front. Second time by. They are locked up side by side. Beers to the bottom, and a big wiggle into Zackham, who nearly gets out of shape in the face of the field. Hangs on to it in that outside lane, still trying to regain control as they go by to his inside, including Blewett and Bonsignor. Baldwin challenges for the top spot on Beers.
And now look who's underneath the 20 car. It's the 51. We'll see if he returns the favor down here in 1 and 2. But one thing you're not going to do, if Max Zackham's used to running other series where you can kind of use guys up the racetrack or run them down on the apron, that's not going to fly here on the modified tour. These guys are too experienced, they're too good, and they're going to use you back up. Just like you saw Austin Beers kind of say, you know, you're not running me on the apron, and it picked Max Zackham's car up off the racetrack. He's lucky he didn't plant it into the fence off before there.
Well, as the battle for the lead a few laps ago is now a race for 4th between Bonsignor and Zackham. Beers at the point, Baldwin in 2nd, keeping him within arm's reach, and then a bit of a gap, not much, back to Jimmy Blewett in position number 3, and then that ongoing battle for 4th between Bonsignor and Zackham. They run 5th and 6th as we continue to work under a couple of green flag laps here, trying to get into a bit of a flow after 3 early caution flags in the first quarter of this event. Ryan Newman kicked up to the outside lane. Now black and yellow, red numeral number 4. Battling behind him as well. That's Lutz to the inside of Ripkema, just in front of rookie competitor Teddy Hodgson.
And one thing I love so much about the modified series, we haven't really touched on it, is the comers and goers. You see the 51 come in. He didn't get the lead off pit road because of strategy. Now he got flushed back to 4th. You're gonna have comers and goers, and at some point in time, you're going to lose track position. And these cars are so much different than like a late model or a cup car where they get aero tight. These cars get aero loose because 80% of your downforce is on that spoiler in the back of the car, and there's no nose on them. So you can see these guys, the experienced guys, kind of poke their car out to the right side to get some air on the blade and keep them tightened up, because if you follow somebody in there too close, you lose all that air off your spoiler and you get free.
Justin Bonsignor making the run on Jimmy Blewett for the 3rd spot. Blewett able to fend him off for now. Bonsignor tucking the line just in front of Ryan Preece. 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and they have all caught Luke Baldwin, currently in the runner-up spot, and a half a second behind the race leader, Austin Beers, as they have singled out toward the front of the field, huddled to the bottom of the racetrack on this 23-degree banked half-mile oval. Bonsignor not wanting to wait, though, to the inside, and made it look easy there going into turn number 1, stuck like glue to the inside of Blewett to take the 3rd position away. Blewett now has his hands full with Ryan Preece for 4th.
Are we starting to see Jimmy pay the tax for going too hard too early, right? We saw him drive up there at the second, kind of stalk the leader when it was Bonsignor, and now he's fading slowly. So that is what we're going to talk about all race, and before these guys can put tires on. How much do you use them up at the beginning, and then how much do they fall off at the end of a run? You see Jimmy backing up pretty hard here. We'll see if that's what it is, or with these tires, right? It's the first time they've measured them. Does the stagger grow? Does the stagger shrink? These cars have spool-locked rear ends, so stagger is very important on the modified tour. And this is the first time they're getting a real look here, 50 laps into a run, of what this is going to be.
Trouble turn 3, one car around. Gonna put us under the caution flag for the 4th time. That's Bobby Labonte that got out of shape over in the corner at the end of the back straightaway. Labonte has been able to get that car fired back up and is limping around to the pit lane for Bobby in car number 38. A Cookout sponsored car, going to immediately go behind the wall. Look like some left front damage on the Labonte car.
Yeah, some nerve part damage there on the right side too. That's the worst place to crash at the end of the straightaway. You're going so fast, and then you just wait for everybody to pile in. But yeah, this is where we're going to start seeing if the strategy pays off. I hear some pit guns rev up, and I love the pit stops of this series so much. We don't talk about it enough. This is one of the last modified series left with pit stops, and it's, because of this, why I became a tire changer, and because of the modified series, it's not just the drivers and the crew chiefs that get the move up, but it's also the guys in the pits, right? I was able to have a great career, and still am able to have a great career as a pit crew guy, and won a Cup championship and a couple Xfinity championships because of my roots here on the modified tour.
It's amazing how many people over the years, whether it be drivers or crew members, have come out of this tour, and you see them at the national level on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and the NASCAR Cup Series. It all starts here at the grassroots level. NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. All right, pits remain closed as the field makes their way around turn number 4 to complete another circuit. We'll see if anybody comes in. Is this an opportunity potentially to see tire changes for the first time tonight? I see a lot of flashlights on down on pit road, and that's a pretty big indicator that we might have some takers here on the pit lane when the green light comes on at the head end of pit road.
Yeah, I see some pit signs getting pushed out here. Everybody's showing their hand a little early. You don't want to put your pit sign out too early, but it's not just when you come to pit road, how many tires are you going to do when you come to pit road? And Bob Dillner down with the 64 team might have our answer.
Well, watch what happens here, guys. It's a cat and mouse game, but the leader, 64, Austin Beers, he's not coming down pit road. They're up on the wall. Like I said, cat and mouse game, trying to show the other team what they might do, but they are not coming down pit road, but a bunch of people are.
Oh, we call that faking them out. Well, on Sundays, hey, let's fake these guys out as he does a little swerve to get some guys that think he might be coming. But our first taker is Max Zacher. Remember, he didn't pit on that last caution. He didn't take fuel, so I'll be interested to see what he does here now, this time down pit road.
Where everybody came down to take fuel a few laps ago, Max Zacher did not stop, stayed on the racetrack, backslid a few spots since the restart, and you get a good look at that team taking Sunoco fuel here down on pit road. And other drivers getting some tires changed on their cars. A lot of right sides being changed. Jim Trado.
Call is for 2 rear tires on Ryan Newman's Mystic Missile. Tim Connolly and the team made the decision to go rears on Newman's car. Other tires being changed. Again, the jack can only go up 1 time. They can modify the position, but they can only do 2 tires a crack on pit road. Let's go down to Bob Dillner.
Craig Lutz in and out, right side tires for him. Craig has won here in NASCAR modified competition during the Tour Type modified segment of the World Series, but a bunch of activity down here. But like I said, there's a lot of games being played right now. And Skip and Kyle, what a lot of these teams told me, like the 64 and the 51, way too early right now to come down and take tires. What do you guys think?
Well, it's definitely too early if you're the 64 or the 51 because you have your plan made, right? You're going to stay in control of this race and you're going to run your race. But if you're running 15th, 20th, even 10th on back, you can't get track position. You have to manufacture some track position. So you're going to come take tires now and take the hit later, but hope that the race plays in your favor and you jump these guys when the pits open next time and they pit.
Everybody beginning to make their way back onto the racetrack. A few laps shy of the restart here. We'll reset the running order for you here in a moment.
And something interesting that I saw there, I'd say probably 80% of the cars that came down did rears. I saw the back of the car jacked up on most of these cars. I saw a couple do rights. But if they're doing rears now, that means that they're probably going to ride with their left rear the rest of the race. So that is or they're gonna swap lefts. But your left front is going to have a lot of heat cycles on it, and you don't really know where it went with sizing, right? It's all this stuff we talked about with stagger and tire wear. There's so many options. I am really happy that I'm here in the booth with you and not on top of one of them pit boxes tonight.
Luke Baldwin, Austin Beers, front row, inside and out for the restart. Then it's Justin Bonsignor and Ryan Preece. It's going to be John McKennedy to the outside of that third row with Jimmy Blewett to the inside. Halfway up the back straightaway, set for the restart here, wrapping up our fourth caution of the night. 65 of 200 laps in the books. We've seen the running order shuffled up a few times now with the strategy that's already beginning to unfold here, and we are far from finished. Pace car on the pit lane. Here they come off of turn 4. Beers in the outside lane gets a great restart all over Baldwin, who's just trying to hang on to second.
Yeah, Beers left himself a little vulnerable there, taking the top, but it is the better launch. It's the cleaner lane, and Baldwin not able to get the power down on that restart there. It is cold right now in Florida, like we said. But here comes Preece making that outside work. Like we said, the easiest time to get spots are on pit road and on restarts, and Ryan Preece is trying to capitalize on this restart right now.
Very comfortable in that outside lane in turn number 2, challenging for the top spot on Austin Beers, the defending champion, the youngest champion in the history of this series, battling for the top spot now, but has the veteran of Preece to his outside as they go back to turn number 1. Preece was able to clear him.
And one of the first guys that we saw coming to get tires and making some headway now is Ryan Newman. I think Jim Trado has more with him on pit road.
Yeah, Ryan, I just checked in. Tim Connolly confirmed the car was a bit loose, so they made the tire change. Tim said it's kind of standard procedure. Rears first and rights is their mindset. But he said the car was loose, so they want to tighten it up with the rear tire change for Ryan Newman.
Yeah, rear tires will tighten you up, but they said that he showed his hand there. They did rears, so they're riding with this left rear the rest of the race. They're going to do rights next. If there's anybody that can manage a set of tires, it's Ryan Newman with his sprint car, midget background, and years of running cup cars. But we're going to see what these American races are made of as we get later on in the race.
Newman right now finds himself right in the eye of the storm, middle of the pack in 15th, battling for that position with Patrick Emmerling. Has Catalano to his inside as Newman in the outside lane as they come around to complete another lap. Stephen Kopsick in that pack of traffic as well.
Yeah, and Emmerling also came to pit road there, so they're kind of racing each other, right? It's a tale of two races, and I believe they put rears on too, but Bob Dillner's down there with their crew chief to tell us what they did.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Skip. I talked to their team down here, and they said they put rears on, and because of their poor qualifying effort, that's their words, not mine, they needed to play a different pit strategy than most people. So they short pitted, but we got a caution on the racetrack.
Gerstner out of shape off of turn number 4, and at the 81 of Mark Stewart. He was the first car to get crossed up off of turn number 4. Gerstner had nowhere to go, and we go under the caution flag for the 5th time in this event here on lap number 72. Fortunately, both cars able to pull away.
Yeah, and this is now puts everybody in a box, right? Because Newman and Emmerling have put tires on. Now, if these guys come 10 laps later, 5 laps later, whatever it is, to put tires on, it's going to catapult, and they're going to jump the 4 and the 1. The guys who just put tires on are going to jump them. And it's not quite enough of a tire difference to make a difference yet. So it could be, like we said, manufacturing track position. We'll see what happens here on this caution.
Only a couple of green flag laps there before the incident off of turn number 4 involving the 2 cars as we go under the caution flag for the 5th time here tonight. It continues to be Ryan Preece at the point over Austin Beers, Luke Baldwin, Justin Bonsignor, and John McKennedy with 127 laps to go at New Smyrna Speedway. Inching toward the halfway mark here at the New Smyrna Speedway for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. The New Smyrna Beach Area Visitors Bureau 200 season opener. Been a good one thus far. Seen a lot of comers and goers, a lot of strategy on the pit lane. Austin Beers and Ryan Preece right now on the front row for the restart in 1 lap from now. Luke Baldwin, Justin Bonsignore, and John McKennedy round out the top 5.
This is the second time in a row we've seen the leader of Ryan Preece. He took the top last time. Austin Beers took the top. So the leader has the option to take the inside or the outside. Everybody else files in. So we'll see if it pays off. We know the outside lane's the cleaner lane to fire in, but if you can get down in the 1 and 2 side by side, we saw it earlier with Max Ackham, you can use that guy up on the outside of you and launch down the backstretch and get the lead back.
Used up Justin Bonsignore a couple of times under some prior restarts. We'll see what happens here with Beers and Preece. On the front row, pace car about to set to head back to the infield. 123 laps to run here tonight for the modifieds. Green flag is back out. Preece was so good in the outside lane under the last restart and gets the advantage under this restart. But here comes Beers back to the inside, not letting Preece get clean racetrack by the time they get to the back straightaway.
Yeah, and when they came to the restart zone there, the 64 ran the 40 up a little bit to take a little bit of his fire angle out and get his tires into that rubber where you'd be launching. He learned it from last time with Luke Baldwin spinning the tires. He was down in the gray. So the 64 did have a better restart, but he's hung on the bottom here with the 51 going around him as well.
And that allows Preece to get away as the race leader. Here comes Bonsignore to the outside of Beers for the runner-up spot. Behind them, Baldwin and Blewett. Nose to nose for the 4 spot, just in front of McKennedy and Christopher, as the race for second continues to be the best on the speedway. Digging hard on the bottom, Austin Beers. Bonsignore with the high side momentum hangs on to that runner-up spot, about a half second behind the race leader, Ryan Preece.
So what I like to see here is we saw Blewett walking himself back a little bit. We talked about that in the last run. Now he's refired, and he's in the hunt in the top 4. Hounded on the back bumper of the 64 now. So these tires, when they go through, this is what we're learning. They go through heat cycles. We're seeing what they do. Once they get hot, if you cool them down, can you get them back? That's one thing with the Hoosiers. When they got hot, then they were gone. If you lost them, they were gone, and you were going backwards. So now, if they go through a heat cycle, you can do some things to clean them up under caution. Work your left rear, work your right rear, work your right front a little bit, get them back, and go back on attack mode like Jimmy Blewett is right now.
Keeping an eye on some of the drivers mid-pack as well that took the rear tires a couple of cautions ago. Patrick Emerling being one of them in the 1. Also Ryan Newman in the 4. They can't afford to go too hard too soon, though. They have a long way to go here in this race.
Yeah, you're running your own race at this point, right? You want to get what you can, but you also want to keep the rear tires on it because you don't want to burn them up. That's what you're dancing with for the rest of the day. So you see Emerling making some ground. If he's able to make some ground and not abuse his tires, he's going to be in the catbird seat come, lap 100, 150.
Emerling in that number 1 car, just behind Ripkema in the 3, Goodale in the 58. They were in a heated battle a lap ago, have singled out 4 now. John McKennedy stepping out of line further up, trying to muscle that 79 car back into the top 5. McKennedy on Luke Baldwin in the 7. Baldwin slides up the hill just a bit. Here comes Matt Hirschman. Haven't talked much about Matt here tonight, but he's beginning to show his presence toward the front of the field as we have a bit up front as well.
Yeah, Matt Hirschman, started back in the 16th position, lost a couple spots to start the race, but as we said, they call him big money for a reason. Here he comes slowly but surely. This guy always figures it out with his PD Motorsports number 60, and Bob Dillner has more of them down on pit road.
And you guys are right. He is very happy with that race car. And when I spoke to Matt earlier today, he said, listen, we don't have the speed from the onset, but just like normal, they have the speed on the long run, and that car's getting better and better. The team tells me they're just trying to see what everybody else is doing and figure out when everybody's going to come. Pit strategy still at a premium in this race.
In that 60 car, you see such a unique line that Matt Hirschman runs here at New Smyrna. He's one of the first ones that does it. He'll enter low, and he'll drive straight up off the corner in the 2nd, 3rd lane, and what that does is doesn't put too much wear on your right front or your right rear. He's done it for years here, and people have tried to adopt that, but he's the best at it. So what that'll do, is it'll make you better and better as the race goes on. When people start using too much right front to turn back to the bottom, or buzzing their right rear because they're trying to turn the car with the throttle and get back down there, he's not doing that. He's letting the car drift, and he's not using one wheel or tire too much.
While the inside lane is the shorter way around, it can also eat the tires up in a hurry. That outside lane, you carry the momentum, and not as hard on the tires in that second and third lane of the racetrack. As they come around and complete another green flag lap, 10 shy of the halfway mark, it is still Ryan Preece and Justin Bonsignor 1 and 2. You see him up the back straightaway, just a couple of lengths between the top two, and then a bit of a gap back to Austin Beers, running unchallenged in the third spot. Great racing from fifth on back, and it's about a straightaway behind Ryan Preece and Justin Bonsignor. A couple laps ago, the 51 of Bonsignor had reeled in. Preece took a look to the inside for the top spot, but fell back in the line, perhaps saving those tires for a challenge late in tonight's race. There's cousin Kyle Bonsignor racing by. John McKennedy in the fifth spot in 79, fending off Luke Baldwin. Again, everyone just kind of getting some laps under their belt at this stage of the event, now 8 laps shy of halfway.
Yeah, and if I'm a spotter or a crew chief here, I'm saying, okay, it's strung out. Now's the time we're going to just get a couple laps, see what your car's doing, but save the tires just right here, right? To finish first, you must first finish. So if you start pressing too hard now, it's going to make it harder on you. You're going to pay the tire tax later on. And one thing, it keeps cracking me up. I keep seeing the Whelen lights on some safety vehicles off of turn 2. I remember my cousin Keith coming down here because there's a stoplight right there off of turn 2. And I remember it turning yellow and him calling caution all the years ago. So that's one tough thing. I know you guys are seeing it on TV at home. I keep thinking there's a caution out because of the lights over there off of turn 4 or off of turn 2.
A mistake you don't want to make, no doubt. And I'm sure the driver wouldn't be very happy if you called the yellow, and come to find out it's a stoplight outside of the racetrack. As we continue under the green flag, Patrick Emmerling gaining a spot there, and Tyler Ripkema both closing in on Matt Hirschman, who is also settled into line behind Luke Baldwin. Here's Ryan Newman to the inside of the 54 of Tommy Catalano. That's a battle for the 10th spot. Catalano drifting up the racetrack just a bit. Newman unable to take full advantage and settles back in the line for now.
Yeah, we're seeing some rotors start glowing here. Some guys are using their brakes pretty hard, and as they get hot, right, the rotors will get hot, and then the ambient heat will get the tires hot as well. So, like I said, if I'm Patrick Emmerling's crew chief, and I know he already took rears, I'm screaming at him right now. You don't have to pass these guys. Just ride. We're going to pass them on the next caution. We're already one step ahead of them in off sequence. So that's what the crew chief's saying, but the driver's saying, no, my car's faster. I got more grip. I'm going by these guys, right? So trying to rein them back and save the rear tires is so hard to do.
So the longer this race goes green, do you think that could benefit guys like Emmerling and Newman when we get toward the second half of this event?
I think so.
It depends on how the cautions fly.
As long as they play it right, but it just depends on how the cautions fly. And say that we get a long green flag run, and then there's a bunch of short cautions, or like one falls in like a 30-lap run when everybody has to pit with 50 to go or 30 to go. They're going to be ahead of those guys, so that's when everybody's going to come take tires. So they're going to benefit from that as long as their pit crew can, keep the track position on pit road.
4 change tires available to these teams here during this race. You can only take 2 at a time per stop, and bulk of the field has 2 tires already, some right side, some rears. We'll see how it plays out. Now the second half of this event just crossed over the halfway point. Keeping an eye on Ryan Newman, Matt Hirschman, all bottled up for position. Patrick Emmerling joins that pack as well. Good trio racing up the back straightaway, a full straightaway behind race leader Ryan Preece. And again, nobody stepping out of line, but Emmerling has the itch to go forward.
And another great thing that the Modified Series is doing here, halfway pays $400. The Jostens Phil Cruz Halfway Leader presented by Jostens Award, and that is going to be paid out every race. And then the driver with the most halfway awards at the end of the year is going to get $1,000 at the banquet at the end of the year. So Ryan Preece not only won a cup race this week, he's $400 richer for leading at halfway this event.
Picking up the Phil Kerrs Halfway Leader Award presented by Jostens here tonight is Ryan Preece by leading lap number 100. We are working lap 104 right now, and still about 2 car lengths between the top 2 at the point. Preece and Bonsignor gap back to Beers, remains unchanged in third, and he is unchallenged in that spot. Jimmy Blewett a few lengths behind them. You see those two race up the backstretch. Things tighten up a bit for fifth with McKennedy, Baldwin, Emmerling working through some lap traffic off of turn number 4. Jeremy Gerstner going a lap down. The black and red numeral number 55 bit off the pace to the inside of the Speedway. Leaders going around him to the outside. They include Baldwin and Emmerling and McKennedy in the 79 who leads.
Yeah, I saw Baldwin sliding around a little bit earlier. You see he's kind of hooking the bottom off of 3 and 4. He got big loose down here in 1 and 2 trying to turn the bottom earlier, and I thought that like when you get big loose with these cars, a lot of times you, like I said, you get them hot and you just start fading. But it seems that he's able to cool that right rear back off, and this thing is wrapping the bottom really good right now. And Matt Hirschman, he's backed off a little bit. He's saving his stuff. He's running the Hirschman line. He's just a crafty veteran sitting back there letting these young bucks battle it out.
And we've seen it year after year after year, and in series and tours across the Northeast and the East Coast, Matt Hirschman can save tires, and suddenly with 15, 20 laps to go, he finds his way to the front.
Absolutely, right? His dad was one of the best. You know, it's what's that Bob Pockers does? You kids don't know. He needs to do one on Tony Hirschman, the Pope they called him. He was one of the best modified drivers of all time, but he might be the best modified mechanic of all time. So Matt was born into a notebook that was so thick. He won so many races, and he was so great. And Matt has continued in that legacy, and his brother Tony Hirschman Jr. on the roof on Sundays as well for Ty Gibbs. So such a great racing family. As we see Patrick Emmerling, he had those rear tires. He got by the 7. If I'm his crew chief right now, I am screaming at him.
There comes Ryan Newman to the inside of Tyler Ripkema. Newman, two of the most legendary paint schemes and teams and cars in this tour, nose to tail here in 2026. For the last 4 decades or so, they have been going at it here on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tours. We check back in on the pit lane with Bob Dillner.
Well, guys, I heard you talking about those rotors on Patrick Emmerling's car, and I noticed it too. He and Tyler Ripkema, and I said, man, I've got to wonder if that's going to affect the tire wear or whatever, heating up those tires. So I went over and talked to Emmerling's team, and they said, nope, not concerned whatsoever. So, Skip, you and me, apparently we were wrong.
Well, brakes have come so far, and even the past 5 years of just compounds and how they cool down. But these guys get into splitting when there's straightaways. As long as they're right here, you'll split pads and run a more aggressive pad on the left side or the right side, depending on what your car is doing. So it's something that old school me looks at a glowing rotor, you know, early in the race, says, oh no, is it going to make it? As you see Ripkema giving Newman all that he can handle right now. We saw Ripkema earlier, you know, some would argue caused that wreck with the 16, and he's not being very friendly to the 4 car right now.
Catalano in the mix as well in car number 54 as they race off of turn number 2 and up the back straightaway. And that battle for position some 5 seconds behind the race leader, Ryan Preece, who continues to show the way. Might find some pressure here. Justin Bonsignor keeping him a couple of car lengths just in front of him. Bonsignor 3 car lengths back. And that battle continues between the 3 and the 4. The Old Blue and the Mystic Missile.
I'm sitting here laughing because Newman is historically the hardest guy to pass the racetrack. And he's such a tough racer as he's going to get the inside lane. He didn't use the 3 up. He really could have used the 3 up there, and he didn't. But Tim Conley, his crew chief, is yelling at him right now. I'm sure it's probably hard to yell at a guy like Ryan Newman, Daytona 500 champion, all the Cup wins he has. But please save the tires on that Fury race car. We have already pitted. These guys haven't. We're off sequence. Don't burn it down. But, man, these race car drivers, they don't know any better. They're going forward, that's for sure. Tim Connolly, the 3 car off of 2.
Tim Connolly, a longtime competitor on this tour, bought this team from Bob Garbarino a couple of seasons ago and continuing to field that famous V4 that has found so much success here on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Now with Ryan Newman behind the wheel here tonight.
So Preece is going to start coming up on lap traffic here, which is, you know, the 51's been able to hold pace with him. But we're going to see how he's able to navigate it. He's got 1 car here slow on the bottom. He's going to get by him pretty easily, but there's pretty heavy traffic, 5 or 6 cars right up in front of him. We'll see what that's able to do. Gerstner really struggling on the bottom. We'll see if this shakes this up at all.
could get tight for the race leaders as they go to turn number 3, or to turn 2, that is, and up the back straightaway for turn 3, and 3 lap cars just in front of the leaders. They'll go to the outside. Slower traffic to the inside of the speedway off of the corner, including Jeremy Gersner. Ken Hagee also set to fall 1 lap down to Ryan Preece, who exits turn number 2.
Now we talked about Patrick Emmerling earlier, and he is reeled in the top 5. He's running 6th right now, and he's reeled in John McKennedy in 5th and Jimmy Blewett in 4th. And as this race goes on, right, if we get to that 50 to go mark, everybody's going to come put tires on.
Yep.
So he's going to have no tires left if he comes and puts right sides on and a worn out left rear, where some of these other guys are going to have the option to put 2 on, or even, make double pit stops and put their 4 tires on.
Emmerling, as deep as 15th a couple of restarts ago, has quietly made his way up through the field, now just outside of the top 5. A few car lengths behind John McKennedy. McKennedy, meanwhile, in a good battle with Jimmy Blewett. Here's Matt Hirschman to the inside, the 60 on Luke Baldwin. That race for the 7th spot.
Yeah, and Matt showing a lot of discipline right now. Getting under Matt, getting under Luke, leaving him room. Luke's going to try to cross him over here, but he's probably not going to have the drive down the backstretch. And Matt's been really strong, like I said, running that diamond lane. Not even a diamond, he just drives in straight, drives up off the top, saving his tires. And before it's all said and done, if we get a couple cautions here, big money is going to be a problem for these competition.
Oh, got way out of shape there in turn number 1 to the outside of Baldwin. Did Hirschman, drifted way up the speedway, was able to keep it off the outside wall, but it's going to lose a couple of spots. Michael Christopher Jr. going by to his inside, along with Ryan Newman, and Baldwin taking that spot. So Hirschman, while conserving the tires, just lost a bit of ground on the speedway and track position with that bobble up in turn number 1 a moment ago.
Here's the battle with Emmerling we were talking about. This is for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Blewett running 4th, McKennedy 5th. He's going to take a peek down to the inside, hard on the brakes, sparks flying off him, and he's going to move him up and take that position. But Emmerling, like we said, on new rear tires, he's trying to get as much as he can, because if this thing goes green, look, there's nothing that says this race can't go green from here on out. So maybe the strategy's shifting. Maybe it's like, okay, get what you can. There's only 70 to go. We're going to all have to pit, so we're all going to be on the same strategy. So get what you can get now. The strategy is starting to shift slowly but surely.
No midway breaks here on the Modified Tour. No scheduled cautions. If the race goes green naturally, it will. And it was a few years ago where the entire distance went green to checkered at Monadnock Speedway here on the Modified Tour. So one of the smallest racetracks. The race was over in the blink of an eye. So you never know when the yellow flags might fall, and that no doubt can shake up the strategy for these teams. If in fact we do go green to the finish, which is 70 laps from now. Working lap number 131 right now. It is Preece over Bonsignor, Beers, McKennedy, and Emmerling. Keeping an eye on McKennedy and Emmerling right now. That 4th and 5th on the racetrack, and about a full straightaway behind the race leader Ryan Preece. That has not changed in the last couple of circuits.
So the fastest lap of this race was run by Jimmy Blewett in an 18 flat. The leaders now are running 18.90, so almost a second of fall off. But remember, these guys haven't changed tires yet, so that's 131 laps on their tires. So not too crazy of a fall off, but definitely going to be worth something when the caution does finally fall, if it does finally fall.
Their stop on the pit lane early in this race came for fuel only, which is why they are at the front of the field. But we'll see if some of these drivers mid-pack, just outside of the top 5, that do have fresher tires, are able to make their way toward the front. They are slowly carving their way toward the front. Ryan Newman being one of them in the 4. Patrick Emmerling in the 1 now, just moving into the top 5. And here comes Bonsignor at the point.
Yeah, the race is heating up for the lead. He wants that lead because if it, like we talked about, we've been talking about all race, the caution. If the caution does come out, he's going to be the first on pit road, and it's going to be a duel off pit road. That 51 team has been so good. Them, the 16s out of it, the 16 pit crew, the 64, these guys that do it week in and week out, they have pit crews that practice and they train and they put a lot into it. The 40 team with Ryan Preece, he doesn't race every week, right? He doesn't have a pit crew that has that. It's a father-son owned team. They bring their friends to the racetrack, so they're not, at the tip of the spear where they're practicing this every week. So that's going to come into effect.
Is this strategy by Preece maybe backing his pace off just a bit?
If I know Ryan Preece,
thinking this is a green flag run to the finish.
It could be. If I know Preece, though, he wants to lead, he wants it now, and he wants to keep it forever. So I think that Bonsignor is just really good. And they run these cars. They test it here with these tires. They've got a great notebook and a great crew chief in Ryan Stone. He says, I'm going to take control of this race and drive off in the sunset, and that's what he's trying to do.
More lap traffic ahead, about a straightaway or so in front of Justin Bonsignor, John Michael Chanette, the next car to go a lap down. Joey Coulter also on the tail end of the lead lap. If this race stays under the green flag, could fall off for the lead lap here in the next few circuits as field strung out around this half-mile oval. Top two down to the line to complete another lap, 138 in the book. So we're clicking them off here, pretty good clip. Once we got the first few yellows behind us, Justin Bonsignor out front over Ryan Preece, who has now settled into that second spot. Mixing it up with McKennedy further back. And Austin Beers in third. McKennedy diving to the inside, going into turn number one, and we'll take that spot away. And here comes Patrick Emmerling, closed in on the top five, and now has taken fourth from Beers and is about, my guess, to take third from John McKennedy in short order.
Patrick Emmerling and Ryan Newman, the last laps by, ran the fastest laps of that sequence. So they both ran 80s. The leaders are running 90s in clean air. So they are better. Now, is it enough time to catch them if this stays green? I'm not sure, but they're going to have a gaggle of lap cars. And I'm watching the back half of the field to try to see where a caution could come from. Because it's pretty strung out right now, but I'm like, okay, who's going to spin out? Who's going to overcook it? And these guys from like 20th on back are starting to get really, really free off of turn four.
Emmerling 3.2 seconds behind the race leader, Justin Bonsignor, in fourth. We'll see if he's able to close that gap here as we continue to rattle off green flag laps. Clicked off 2/10 that time, 2.9 seconds for Emmerling on the race leader.
That being said, though, John McKennedy in front of him, who hasn't taken tires yet, ran a tick faster. So is it time, are these guys now, the guys leading the race, are they dictating the pace of the race and walking it back a little bit? Or are these guys overcooking it behind them, trying to catch them? I'm not sure. Only they know, but the times don't lie.
Watching McKennedy and Emmerling race up the backstretch into the corner. 3 seconds, make it 2.5 seconds between third place McKennedy and race leader Justin Bonsignor. So they are closing in. Race leaders also about to have their hands full because they're going to close in on even more lap traffic, a bit thicker than what we had a couple of laps ago when they were catching one car here and there. Now there's 3 or 4 lined up right in front of Justin Bonsignor, who is trying to get away from Ryan Preece in that second spot. And now caution comes out. Trouble off of turn 2.
Had the 99. He just drove right in. That car stopped in the backstretch. Didn't see him.
That Marshall, that purple car that got out of shape. And Sam Ramo came in after the fact. That'll put us under caution for the 6th time in this event. Pretty big hit there off of turn 2.
Here it is. It's going to be your 50 to go caution. This is what we talked about, right? This is going to shake everything up. And what do cautions do? They breed cautions. This is where the winner of this race is going to be decided. On pit road, who has the right strategy? Did Patrick Emmerling and Ryan Newman? Ooh, we got a red flag here. I don't know if the 60 was stopped because he was mad at the 7, but we're red flagged here.
Red flag from the starter stand will stop the cars around this half mile for the impact over on the back straightaway. And the safety team quickly to the scene of the incident. 2 cars involved, Marshall and Ramo.
You never like to see anybody get hit at a standstill, especially at a place like this on the backstretch.
So the field stopped here on the, well, half the field on the front stretch, half over in turn number 2 when they threw the red flag here just a moment ago with 54 laps to go. And it'll be interesting to see what happens when we go back under the caution. Pit road opens. More strategies will unfold as getting word that Sam Ramo has climbed from the car on the back straightaway. So he'll head to the ambulance and get checked over as we're under the red flag here at the New Smyrna Speedway with Justin Bonsignor showing the way with 54 laps to go. Back at New Smyrna Speedway, continuing under the red flag as cleanup continues off of turn number 2 after the two-car incident that brought out this caution and ultimately the red involving Mike Marshall and Sam Ramo. Still a long way to go in this race. Pit stops to come. And a little bit of speedy dry and cleanup taking place on the backstretch. We're going to look at a replay here, see what happened to put us under this caution. Ramo out of shape, and Marshall came in there at a ton. And pretty heavy contact there. And another look at it here. Ramo just out of frame, sideways.
Oh, and it's such a tough place to get hit because your feet are right there. That's right in the foot box. So good to see Sam Ramo get out of that car, man. That is the foot box are really narrow, and you don't think about it, but your feet bang around in the pedals there. If your brake pedal's a little bit too far up, or your gas pedal's not where you want, or even your clutch pedal. So really good to see him climb out of that race car, and glad we red flagged it to get this all cleaned up and set the stage for these final 54 laps.
Still a little bit of cleanup taking place there on the backstretch before we see the caution flag out and ultimately the pit lane being open. So before we go back under the caution, we'll check down with our pit reporters here in just a moment. Bob Dillner and Jim Trado patrolling things up and down pit lane, and see what we might expect here when we come under the yellow and ultimately open pit road. Bob, what are we thinking?
Well, you're going to see a lot of people come down pit road here, and a lot of the teams are talking about what they're going to do to their race cars. Remember, rear tires, right side tires, what are they going to change on the car to get it a little bit better? But here's one thing that I would consider. I believe with just over 50 laps to go, I think this is probably going to be the last pit stop for tires that we see. With these tires and how long they last, I don't think you're going to see another round of pit stops if you're up front. Maybe if you're in the back. Jim Trado?
The only pit stop that Ryan Preece made, who's currently running second, and Jimmy Blewett, who's pitted right behind him, running in the top 10. They only came for fuel on lap 37. If you're just joining our coverage, they did a fuel-only stop, which means the 4 tires they had in the pits are still the 4 tires in the pits. The dilemma is there's maybe too many choices. Do you change rears? Do you change rights? What do you need at this moment in the race? Which tires hurt worse? They can only change 2 tires, and they got to be quick about it. It's a matter of these teams figuring out that this red has actually let them sift through some of that, but it could add to the too many choices process and dial you right out.
Well, another choice you can make, too, you don't have to just pit once. You can come back in and put a left rear on this thing if you want. So you can take the hit and pit twice if you want to do rights and a left rear, but you can only jack the car up once on this pit stop. A couple notable things from that long green flag run. Patrick Emmerling went 17th to 5th, so plus 20, and then Tommy Catalano, from his spin, he went all the way back to 32nd, and he drove the 12th.
That Catalano spin early in this event and is now just running outside of the top 10 in that 12th spot. So the field beginning to get gathered up behind the safety car on the back straightaway. Few cars to fire up here off of turn number 4 once they get everybody rolling again.
I'll tell you what,
pace
Kyle
car
Rickey,
back up to its normal speed.
My palms are sweating for these pickers. I'm sitting here. I'm not even on pit road. I'm up here with you, but my palms are sweating because this race is going to be dictated. You're not going to win it on pit road, but you sure as heck can lose it there, right? And who's going to capitalize? Which of these pickers have put in the work over the offseason? I've seen a lot of stuff on social media of these teams practicing, putting in work in the shop, all getting together because they know how important position off of pit road is going to be.
Guys on pit road said a moment ago there might be too many options. Is there such thing as too many options?
Oh, absolutely. If you're a crew chief, there's absolutely such a thing. So we're going to see who hits it right, and we'll see who capitalizes on this and wins that $15,000 at the end of the day.
Field crossing the start-finish line now to complete lap number 147. 53 laps to go. You could pit twice, but is there enough time to take advantage of it?
I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. But that's why these guys are on top of the pit box, and I'm up in the booth with you, right? I don't have to make that decision. I just get to talk about it. So no matter what happens, it's going to be super interesting. And like we said, these pickers have to execute. It's not a gimmick. You can lose spots on and off pit road. It's just like what you see on Sundays or Saturdays with O'Reillys or Cuts, a live pit stop. That's what I love about the NASCAR Modified Series, NASCAR Whelen Modified Series, is that it's a team sport. It's everybody involved. It's the spotters on the roof. It's the pit crew on pit road. It's the crew chief. It's the driver. It's a whole team sport to win this 200-lap race.
Pit crews beginning to stretch out down on the pit lane. They're about to be put to work. Red light remains on at the head end of pit road. So it'll be another lap or so before the action is set to shift down to pit lane. See all the lights come on the crew members' helmets. That's kind of what gives it away. Green light is on, so we're going to go this time by. It was a late green light, but pit road is open, and here they come, Jim Trado.
Ryan Priest, the first to his pit stall, 5 in from turn 4 from second position. They're going right side tires. Same call for Jimmy Blewett. Blewett's going right side tires. They wanted to make an adjustment. They may not have the ability because they wanted to make that adjustment in the left rear, according to Mike Polonia. That won't happen. So they're going to do it the right side tires only for the cars running second.
For the two guys that are at the lead part of pit road, Justin Bonsignor, 2 rear tires for him. That car is really good, according to Ryan Stone. Same thing for the 64 of Austin Beers, just 2 rear tires. That car, a little tight, a little loose, all over the place. Little air pressure adjustment for the 64. Oh, and we got contact on pit road. We got cars colliding. In fact, it was the Catalano brothers, I believe. No, it was actually Mike Christopher Jr. as well as Catalano colliding on pit road. Very crowded down here.
Yeah, both of the Catalanos came together, and Michael Christopher Jr. had nowhere to go, and there was contact there. And now a second stop.
Doing a second stop. Tommy Baldwin, the 7NY. They gained some spots on pit road. The 79, they're all coming back down, and they're going to put a left rear on this car. But the A-team, the 64, the champs, right? They got the first pit selection, the first pit stall off the pit road. They come out second. They gained 5 spots on pit road. That's why they were the champions last year. They put Austin Beers in position to win this race.
Let's go back down to pit lane for a second time as another sequence of stops about to take place in front of you, Bob.
Second stop for Ryan Priest. Changed both left side tires. First pit stop rights, this time lefts.
Teddy Hodgson in under this second lap of stops, along with Michael Christopher Jr. Probably going to do a once-over on that 31 car to make sure there was no damage from the contact a little bit ago. Mentioned Teddy Hodgson a moment ago. Let's hear more from his pit with Bob.
Well, you know what? Here's an interesting story. Kyle, you and me were talking about Teddy Hodgson and how good he has run down here in tour-type modified competition in the past. And I was chatting with Teddy, and I said, why do you like New Smyrna so much? He says, well, probably because my mom, Kathy, actually grew up 3 streets from here. I said, you got to be kidding me. I said, wait a second. Did your dad, who's a former racer, did he and your mom actually meet at this racetrack? And remember, guys, we're less than a week away from Valentine's Day. Well, indeed they did. They actually met here at the racetrack, and the rest is history.
Oh, Speed Weeks will do that to you, Kyle Rickey. But I can't help but think, look at this one car, Patrick Emmerling,
yep.
right? They came in and did 2 tires, but they have a fresher left rear than the 2 guys in front of them. So the 51 and the 64 opted not to pit, you know, at lap 50 during that caution. The one car came in, got all that track position. Now his left rear is 50 laps newer. Did he use it up too much coming back to the field? I don't know. We're going to find out. But he's got fresher right sides, and now he's third. That's what we talked about, manufacturing track position when you can't do it on the track. You have to do it in the pits, get off sequence. Now he's in the hunt to go back-to-back in this race.
Into the final quarter of the New Smyrna Beach Area Visitors Bureau 200 for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, the 2026 season opener. Justin Bonsignor, race leader, defending champ, Austin Beers in second. Then you get back to Patrick Emmerling in third with fresher tire, at least one, Tyler Ripkema and Ryan Newman, the top 5. And again, Newman on that same strategy as Emmerling with the rear tire change earlier in the race, about 100 laps ago, and now back in on pit lane a lap and a half ago, back into the top 5 in the Mystic Missile.
Yeah, give Ryan Newman some track position. Another guy that gained a bunch of track position, 6 spots on that pit stop, is Tommy Catalano. He went from 12th to 6th there, and his brother Trevor Catalano up to 7th. So they could be contenders too. But that's not it. The decisions aren't over. The 51 and the 64 on the front row. Now we have to see where the 51 picks. Is he going to pick the top? Is he going to pick the bottom? We saw the 64 run Priest up the track, coming to the restart zone last time to try to get a little bit cleaner track. And if the 64 can get down in the 1 side by side, will he flush the 51 like the 20 did it to him earlier?
Remember, the Catalanos had some contact on the pit lane as well. They'll restart in rows 2 and 3, it looks like, as they double up for the restart next time by into the final quarter of this event. Well, 47 laps remaining when we go back under the green flag. Justin Bonsignor in the outside lane, Austin Beers to the bottom, Emmerling and Ripkema in row number 2.
Justin made his decision. He made his decision to take the top. Right, we still have 48 laps to go. But we're going to see, like Ryan Preece, right? Cup driver. Comes in, he says, give me 4. I'm going to drive through this field. So it's going to be a show. There's a mixed bag all the way through. Ryan Preece all the way back. Man, I got to zoom down here in 19th position from 2nd to 19th as they roll into the restart zone. 64 gets a great launch on the bottom. They're going to be side by side. What's he going to do in the 1?
Keep an eye on Matt Hirschman as well. Also, 3 fresh tires for Matt. Will restart mid-pack as they're back under the green flag. Emmerling to the inside of Bonsignor for 2nd as Beers tries to get away at the front of the field as they sort things out off of turn number 4. It's Beers out front and a big shove from Bonsignor up the front stretch.
New tires, new year, same characters going for the win here at the end of this 200-lap race. Adam Fenwick posted us a great stat. The average in the last 4 races for the final pass of this race is at lap 184, so 16 laps to go. So still a lot of racing left to go. As you see, Jimmy Zacharias gets all crossed up down the front stretch, and they're going to start wrecking behind him.
One car hard into the inside wall. Looked like Kyle Bonsignor. That's
what you see here at New Smyrna, too. You see the wrecks start. Probably 5 cars up, 10 cars back, they start wrecking because everybody checks them. You can't, when you're sitting so low in these modifieds, you cannot see. The air cleaner's in the way, the roll bar's in the way. All you can really see is the spoiler in front of you. And even though it's clear, you can't see through the car, and you end up pancaked in the fence.
Kyle Bonsignor got the inside wall. Pretty good clip here on the front stretch. That car has come to a stop in turn number 1, a 3-time winner here on the tour, including a victory last year up at White Mountain. And has had his fair share of issues over the years here. Was involved in an early race incident last year for Kyle and was in search of that first top 10 finish here at New Smyrna Speedway. Not going to come tonight after the incident put us under caution flag here now with 44 laps to go.
And look who rolled up in the 2nd place now. Going to restart on the front row. We've been talking about him all race long. It's Patrick Emmerling. So we've got one more decision to make with Austin Beers. Where's he going to choose, right? What's he going to choose, the top or bottom? The leader gets that only choice.
Is it just one more decision?
Yeah, well, it might be a bunch, but I know he's got at least one. Here's that wreck. It started
left side of your screen.
5 cars up.
Zachem got into the back of Bonsignor and turned the 22. That was the tail end of a chain reaction that started about 6 or 7 spots ahead of those 2 cars.
And it's easy to sit here and say, oh, you know, everybody's going to be on the couch. Oh, he drove from last week into that wreck, but you truly cannot see very well out of the front of these race cars, and you rely so much on your spotter, and you just try to make the one decision right? You point down to the inside. You can't just turn the car back to the right with low air pressure on the left rear and all the stagger in these cars. If they lay over on the left rear, then you overcorrect into the fence. So I know everybody at home is going to be thinking, man, where was he going? But that happens all too often in these modifieds.
You get one shot. So tough break for Kyle Bonsignor, who is out of the car, looking at the damage on his car. We'll see him next month back on the tour at the Martinsville Speedway as we continue under yellow with Austin Beers showing the way with 42 laps to go. Continuing to work caution for the 7th time here tonight at the New Smyrna Speedway as we work into the final few laps of tonight's 200 lap season opener, the New Smyrna Beach Area Visitors Bureau 200, and the old double hook.
Don't you guys have a beer named the Double Hook up at Stafford?
We have a whole bar named after the double hooked.
And the tour going back to Stafford this year, so you can enjoy some double hooks at the bar there at Stafford Motor Speedway this year while watching the NASCAR Modified Tour back in action.
That race coming up on August 28th. Good to have Stafford back on the schedule here later this summer. Talked about Patrick Emmerling has raced his way back into the top 5. Currently will restart in the 3rd spot in that number 1 car, and Bob Dillner's in his pit.
Well, guys, a well-calculated race for Patrick Emmerling. When I talked to him before the green flag, he was definitely disappointed with that qualifying effort. We don't expect that out of Patrick Emmerling, and he said they just made a little bit of a mistake and got that car way too tight in qualifying. But man, they have played their cards well. Remember, they were one of those ones that actually pitted early, took 2 rear tires. And then this last sequence of pit stops, they took another 2 rear tires. And they believe they're good to go right now. And I spoke to the team, Dale Hedquist, as well. And I said, what's going on right now? What is Patrick saying? And Patrick basically told them it's go time now to go after another win, to go back-to-back here at New Smyrna.
We talked about Patrick Emmerling's dominance here last year, not only in the tour race, but all week long in the tour type modifieds here at New Smyrna. But Brent Wentz just texted me. He said this is the same pit crew he had on the 07 and the 14 when he was driving that. So the car might have a new number, but it's the same pit crew and team that he's had. And Dale Hedquist has these boys right tonight, and they put him in position to win this race.
So we'll keep an eye on the 1 over the next 39 laps. Justin Bonsignor just in front of him. He'll restart 2nd, Bob.
And here's the problem for, people like Patrick Emmerling is they gotta get by guys like Justin Bonsignor. And I've spent a lot of time, coming up to this race as well as in this pit here today with the 51 team. And Ryan Stone, their crew chief, has said, man, this car is perfect right now. I've seen him several times, and I said, what are you going to do? He goes, we don't really need to pit. They were good on fuel because they pitted early, took that fuel-only stop. They didn't worry about having another caution like some of these other teams. And I said, is the car that good? And Ryan just looked at me and gave me a nod.
Well, the competitors know that too, right? They know that the 51 just keeps driving back to the lead, so what they're going to try to do on this restart is flush them, get rid of them, right? We don't want them here. So is the 64 going to pick the bottom and do the same thing he just did? He's going to be, he was able to hold serve and get around the 51 on that restart on the bottom. He's been able to restart better on the bottom than anybody we've seen all night. So I'll be interested to see when he comes to choose. The leader can choose here, as we've said. Is he going to pick the top, or is he going to pick the bottom? And if he picks the bottom, he's going to run the 51 up, because if he runs the 51 up, then the 1 car can come by. That not only gives the 1 car a shot at the win, but it gives the 64 a buffer to what they may feel is the best car behind them in the 51. Get him back a couple spots, and you don't have to worry about him.
51 has been run up a couple of times already in this race, earlier by Max Zackham on one of the earlier restarts, and now potentially by Austin Beers, but time will tell, as we are still at least a lap or so away from the restart here as laps continue to tick away here under the caution flag. We heard from Justin Bonsignor's pit a moment ago. Let's go and hear from the leader's pit, Austin Beers. Back to Bob.
I just spoke to that team, and they said, listen, the car is good, but it's just a little bit too snug. It doesn't want to turn in the center of the corner. I said, well, what's the objective here? And they simply said, get away from the field. If we can get away from the field at this restart, the longer the car goes into a run, the more the snugness actually works out of it. So they think if they can get a long green flag run and just kind of distance themselves ever so slightly, they can control this race.
And that's what you want. You want control of this race late. You want to be the leader. Everybody talks about, do you want to be leading? Do you want to be second? Where do you give me the lead? Give me the lead all the time. If this 64 can get away on this restart clean and maybe flush the 51, make him lose a couple spots, he's going to have a better chance to win this race.
There are some drivers mid-pack that took tires 2 cautions ago that would love some green flag laps. Ryan Preece being one of them, and Matt Hirschman, both well outside of the top 10. Priest in the 16th position. Hirschman in the 19th spot. You can add McKennedy to that list as well. He'll restart in 15th. Luke Baldwin 14th. So a lot of those drivers that we saw at the front earlier in the event, mid-pack now, and really need this race to get back under the green flag so they can make the most from their new tires.
Bonsignore's wife, Taylor, just texted me and said, yo, stop telling people to wreck my husband. But I promise I'm not doing that. And the 64 takes the top here, so that his cards are showing. He's not going to be able to do that. The last thing I want to do is give the 51 a chance to use me up and take the lead, and Bob Doner's got more down on pit road.
Well, guys, you were talking about Matt Hirschman real quickly. He's one of those guys that actually took 3 tires in that last pit stop sequence. So you noted he wants to come and get a long green flag run because he thinks that rubber might be a difference at the end of this race.
Gonna need green flag laps to use those tires. We've had several caution flag laps here since he has been on the pit lane. About to go back under green here. Getting down to it. Here tonight with 35 laps to go for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. A lot of strong cars mid-pack, strong cars up front. We'll see what happens when we go back under the green flag, which is about to happen here. Beers to the outside of Bonsignor. Bottle up further back. Everybody's okay. Emmerling not getting the best of restarts. Second car on the bottom. Going to give up a spot to Tyler Ripkema in third as the race leaders are still nose to nose.
And I love what Bonsignor did on that restart. He put the 64 where he wanted him. He ran him up into the gray, got some marbles on his tire, and got a great launch. He's a crafty veteran and a 4-time champ for a reason.
Got the launch and got away by a car length and a half. Did Justin Bonsignor at the point. Race is now for second, and that's just allowing Justin to get away. Ripkema to the inside of Beers, and here comes Patrick Emmerling on the rebound in the 1 car. And to his outside, you have Craig Lutz, who we haven't talked about a whole lot here in the second half of this event. He's trying to work his way into the top 5.
I cannot believe Patrick Emmerling did not wreck on that restart. When you get over on the left rear like that, it usually causes you, if you don't wreck, the guys behind you usually do, but everybody got away clean. And Old Blue comes into the picture. Tyler Ripken's got a tour-type modified win here during Speed Weeks. We'll see. Oh, big wreck into turn 1.
A lot of smoke and spinning race cars down into turn number 1. Matt Zackham, one of them. Carson Lofton in the 73.
Jimmy Blewett did a 360. There were sparks flying off of that car, and he drove away. The car control of Showtime is unmatched.
Able to get away with minimal damage, as is the 73 of Lofton, a car that Paulie Hartwick III will be driving. You see a right rear down, though, on the Blewett car, and a left front down on the 54 of Catalano.
All these cars are coming by with the Nerf bars bent, the nose is up, the pay window's open, and these guys are starting to get rowdy, that's for sure. The bummer for Blewett is that right rear was brand new, so do they have another right rear to put on there that they have matched right, they have sized right?
Yep.
So we'll see, do they come in and take rears now? Because he didn't take tires earlier. Will he put rears on the car? He's going to lose a lot of track position, but he'll have some fresh tires.
Pit road closed this time by. And the leaders will stay on the racetrack. Don't expect them on the pit lane here in the remaining 30 laps of this event anyway. Keeping an eye on some of the damaged cars, including Jimmy Blewett, who remains on the racetrack. Let's hear from his pit now in Jim Trado.
Yeah, I've had that way. He did change right side tires. His only pit stop for tires, the most recent caution, was for right side. So what does he have left? He's got to throw something back on that right rear to make this thing go to the finish.
Yeah, I'd imagine if his rear's on, you might be saying, you see that left rear's badly bent as well, and you might be saying, why is he driving around with a flat tire, him and Tommy Catalano? If they can run around under this caution and then pit once the pit opens, then they won't have to go to the tail end of the longest line. If they pit before the pit road is open, they'll take the hit and have to start behind all the lap down cars, maybe 5 or 10 cars they have to start behind. So these guys are definitely going to do rear tires. Man, that's a tough break for Jimmy Blewett. It's such a strong run going.
In the top 5, much of the event here tonight for Jimmy. In the top 10 when the incident broke out here on the front straightaway a couple laps ago, as pit road remains closed and Blewett remains on the racetrack along with Catalano, the 2 cars you see on your screen at the bottom of the racetrack. We'll get a look at it here on the replay. Top 6 were able to get away, and then they stacked up behind them. Blewett, the first car to get turned. Was that contact potentially with Salamito?
I think it was contact earlier, because if you look Catalano has a flat left front and Jimmy Blewett has a flat right rear. The reason Jimmy spun at the end of the straightaway was because his right rear was already flat. So I'd imagine there was contact off of Ford just racing for real estate. It popped both their tires. Jimmy spun out, and then the chain reaction behind him, everybody crashed.
Fortunately, everybody has pulled away, and safety team out on the speedway now. Going to do a quick once-over of the surface for the final 29 laps of this event. Led by Justin Bonsignor, Tyler Ripkema, Austin Beers, Craig Lutz, Patrick Emmerling. And you get a look at some of those damaged cars. Catalano in the 54 and the 2 of Blewett. And it looks like the green light is on. They're cued to head to the pit lane.
That's what's crazy about these open wheel cars too, right? Sometimes they'll run into each other and jump wheels like we saw the 20 car do earlier, or sometimes you just touch just right and it rolls the tire off the rim. Right there, they must have hit tire to tire, and it just will roll it right off of the bead with low air pressure. We got more from Jim Trado down there in the 2 pit.
First matter of attention, rear tires on Blewett's car, the left rear being changed, right rear also getting put on. Blewett changed right side tires we talked about on that first pit stop. But this is something that could be a little bit more. The car did not look to appear to be as true in the rear stance as it was earlier, Bob.
Changing that left front tire for Tommy Catalano. No other damage to this race car. The team checks the right front to make sure that it's A-OK as well. But they give the thumbs up, and Catalano is back on the racetrack.
Rejoin the field at the tail end for the 54. Continuing to service the Blewett car down on pit road as well. Free pass going to go to Michael Christopher Jr. That'll put 24 cars on the lead lap for the final, we think, the final run to the finish. Now with 28 laps to go. Kind of yellow flag fever at the beginning of the race. You mentioned it when we had the yellow with 50 to go. Yellows breed yellows, and in fact, that has been the case here in the last 20 laps or so.
Absolutely, and now the pay window's open. We said it before. That's the tire from Catalano. You can see that they hit, and they either hit with the wheel or hit with the Nerf bar, and it just ripped a hole in that tire, and both of them get flats. I cannot believe they didn't wreck harder than they did there.
Now Blewett has all but stopped here on the front straightaway, as the rest of the field has doubled up in their rows of 2. Blewett continues on.
Yeah, a lot of times when you crash like that, you get your toe knocked out, and it changes where the wheel orientation is, so you'll stop and reset your wheel so it's straight up, so it's not messing you up. The lights are out on the pace car. We're coming back to the restart, and the 51 has chosen the bottom again.
There'll be 26 laps to go, and they do get the green flag. Bonsignor to the inside. Ripkema in the outside lane. Safety vehicle heads toward pit road. Field comes to speed off of turn number 4. Green flag is back out from Sean Houlihan. Back underway. Justin Bonsignor in the 51 gets the jump as they go to the corner. Baldwin out of shape in turn 1 and a 3-wide move. That started here on the front straightaway. He's okay, but really stacked everybody up behind him as they race up the back straightaway.
He was up over the left rear. His whole nose is in the air, up over the left rear of Timmy Solomon. I cannot believe they kept it straight. But back to Justin Bonsignor, he dictates the start of this race and moves the guys where he wants them to be and drives off into the sunset.
Close moment there between Emmerling and Newman up in turn number 1. Not sure how they kept it off the outside wall after a little bit of contact upon entry into the corner while racing for 5th. Emmerling hangs on to that position. Trevor Catalano in the mix now with Ryan Newman and Joey Coulter back into the top 10 after some early race challenges. So a lot of comers and goers here in the second half of this event, but up front it continues to be Justin Bonsignor with 24, make that 23 laps to run.
And think about how much different this race would have been if we didn't catch that caution 2 cautions ago, right? The one car had the 51 passed, then the 51 gets back. He wasn't quite ahead of him by the timing line. The 51 is back on the front row. Now the one car has faded back to 5th. So that's the difference between restarting on the front row and restarting 3rd.
Keeping an eye on Matt Hirschman trying to charge up through the field. Lost a lot of laps after taking 3 tires with all the caution flags that we have had in recent circuits, and he is now just into the top 10 in 9th. Restarted in 16th not that long ago for Matt. Blewett another tire down on the 2. That car has come to a stop in turn number 4, and we go caution again with 21 laps to go.
Cautions breed cautions. Don't know what happened to that Gershauer cycling number 2. If they have a tire down or they just had something break. A lot of times when you hit the rear like that, it'll break the track bar or some of your rear suspension, and it shifts the rear over, then your left rear doesn't get clearance, you get a flat. Looks like all his tires are up.
Yeah. Looked up briefly. It looked like the left front was down, but it is clearly up with the angle that we are seeing now. Window net, however, is down for Jimmy Blewett.
I don't expect Jimmy to get out of that car. He's never one to quit, but here he is. He's pulling the wheel off now. And this is just going to continue. So Justin, right, he keeps picking the bottom, and as Jimmy Blewett gets out of the car, Justin keeps showing his hand how he's going to restart. And is Ripkema going to learn? Is he going to try to run him down? Is he going to try to chop his right front coming to the restart zone? That's the only way you're going to beat the 51 tonight, I think. He's so good, but he's so crafty on restarts. I've had to restart against him a couple of times in the indoor auto racing series, and he's just so good. He's got 4 championships for a reason.
Ripkema, meanwhile, who will restart on the front row, has 1 win to his credit coming at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway last fall. So you have the second winningest all-time winner on the tour to your inside as one of the newest winners on the tour in the driver of car number 3.
Yeah. And don't look now, but the 40 and the 60 have gotten into the top 10 as we get some answers from Jern Cheto on pit road. What happened to this 2-car?
Yeah, Jimmy Blewett's crew chief, Mike Bologna, just told me he thought it was the track bar. They didn't know if it was from the spin down the front stretch or if it was from wall contact in most recent laps. Not determined, but they think the track bar stuff the rear let go. I also mentioned during the pit stop, I said, man, when that car left, it just didn't look right. Something in the rear might have already been stressed or hampered or broken when he came in after that spin, and just compounded here to bring the car to a halt at turn 4.
And some people call it a track bar, some people call it a panner bar. If you race sprint cars, you call it your W-link or whatever it is on the right rear. But what that does is it stops the travel right to left of the rear of the car. So it's essentially a bar that hooks to the left side of your rear end and the right side of your chassis, and it stops the car from moving. And that's a huge balancing tool to move it up, move it down, whether your car is tight or loose. But if that thing breaks, your day is over.
Jimmy Blewett going off on the hook. His day will come 18 laps short of the finish here tonight at New Smyrna. You see Jimmy Blewett's car getting towed behind the wall here at the New Smyrna Speedway as we get into the closing laps of the New Smyrna Beach Area Visitors Bureau 200 for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour here tonight on Flow Racing. A lot of strategies in this race. We've seen drivers come from the back of the front or back of the field to the front of the field have faded toward the back depending on when they were on pit road and took fresh tires. Matt Hirschman, one of the drivers, wanting some green flag laps as he took 3 fresh tires just a couple of cautions ago, but unfortunately hasn't had the green flag laps to use them. He has been able to battle his way up to the 9th position. Ryan Preece in that boat as well, running in 10th, but laps beginning to thin out for them with just 15 to go.
And I don't know if they do want green flag laps because it's so hard to pass when they get strung out. But they have fresher tires. If I look at 8th, 9th, and 10th, these guys restarted like 19th, 18th, and 17th. So John McKennedy, Matt Hirschman, Ryan Preece, they both pitted twice. So they have Matt Hirschman, I think he did 3 tires, and I know Ryan Preece did 4, and I know McKennedy did at least 3. So these guys definitely have a fresher left rear. And when you get a caution, that makes it easier. It's easier to pass under caution. If you have fresher tires, they're closer, it's easier to pass them. So if they can jump 2, 3, 4 cars each caution, it's going to get them closer to those leaders. So I don't know that a green flag run is particularly their friend right now because there's so little time to get there. We're only going to have 14 laps to go when we take the green.
So you're saying potentially more restarts could actually benefit them. Get a couple of cars, then a caution.
It's easier to pass cars when they're closer together, that's for sure. And we're seeing this field get strung out pretty quickly once we go green.
Well, at the pace we've been running, we might get a couple of more cautions, and that might work just into the favor of John McKennedy, Matt Hirschman, Ryan Preece, Ryan Newman in the mix as well, just into the top 10. Bonsignor and Ripkema on the front row, inside and out. And then Craig Lutz to the inside of the second row.
And Bonsignor on the bottom, like we said, 4-time champ, 47 race wins. And I want to explain when they come into the restart zone what he does with his race car to put him in a better spot than the rest of the field. So he's going to roll in here, and you're going to see him move the 3 car up. You see where the track goes a little bit more gray. It's a little bit dirty up there. And you see the 51's right on the edge of that black. He's got the 3 cars tires up in the gray where the marbles are. That's going to not allow the 3 to fire because he's got such dirty tires. You see him pay the price. Justin off to the sunset again on this restart.
Got a full-length lead by the time they got to turn number 1 to Justin Bonsignor. Now Ripkema just trying to hang on in that outside lane. Had Beers peeking to the bottom for make that Lutz to the inside for the runner-up spot. Beers also caught topside. They get shoved way up the hill, and here comes Patrick Emmerling to the bottom to challenge for the 3rd spot.
And that's something these modified guys do better than anybody. When you run in there and try to move the guy up like Lutz just tried to do to Ripkema, they stab the brake pedal. So the 3 cars stabbed the brake pedal, and the 46 drove over top of him and almost lost another spot because of it.
12 laps to go when they hit the line. Ryan Newman to the inside, making moves mid-pack, as is John McKennedy. Although they didn't gain the spots that they were hoping to gain, including Matt Hirschman, who remains in the 9th position as they race up the back straightaway, and that's allowing the race leaders to get away about 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds now, the difference between Bonsignor, the leader, and this ongoing battle, and a little contact there just into the top 10 between Newman in the 4 and McKennedy in the 79. Here's Emmerling to the inside of Lutz for the 3rd spot.
And the only hope for Emmerling is that his left rear is a little bit fresher than the 51s. But the 51 has checked. The 51 and the 3 have checked out, and he's running out of laps with 10 to go.
Beers now to the inside on Lutz for 4th. Austin Beers, defending champ in that 64, taking the spot away in turn number 4. Move the 46 of Lutz back a spot.
And Justin Bonsignor just ran the fastest lap of the race at an 18.015. The lap before that, Ripkema was able to match that, but not that lap. Bonsignor is pulling away.
And has been able to build a 1/2 second lead back to Ripkema in the 2nd position. This time by adds a 10th to it. For Justin Bonsignor, the 4-time champion, car 51, looking for a new Smyrna win. Been close a couple of times. Race leader now has dominated much of the second half of tonight's 200-lap event. Interval between the top 2 remains at about 1/2 second. Back to Ripkema in the runner-up position. Then it's Emmerling about 1/2 straightaway back in 3rd. Austin Beers and Craig Lutz 4th and 5th. Newman coming to life just out of the top 5, but well behind the battle for the win here tonight as we close in on 5 to go, and another fast lap for Justin Bonsignor. Last time by, he is laying them down here in the late stages of this race.
These guys are on the wheel. John McKennedy clears the 46. He's driven into the top 5 now. Another guy that's coming is Ryan Preece. But are they too far back? That's the question. The answer is yes right now with only 5 laps to go.
It'll be 4 at the line and 0.8 seconds between the top 2. So Justin Bonsignor, with all those fast laps consecutively, has been able to build on the lead. It was 0.4, was a 1/2 second, now is 0.8 this time by 0.9, and it may not matter because we're going to go under the caution for an incident up in turn number 4.
Looks like Michael Christopher Jr. parked up there against the wall.
It is the 31.
That is not what Justin wanted to see, but his car is so fast right now.
Christopher will drive away. Just got back on the lead lap with the free pass under one of the recent caution flags. Some left rear damage on that 31 car. And we'll get another look at it here in a moment for Michael Christopher Jr. Solo incident with 3 laps to go, so that'll no doubt send us into an overtime situation.
Unlimited attempts at a green, white, checkered. If they take the white flag, the next flag will end the race. So whether if they go under the white flag, if they get a caution, that'll end the race, or if they get back around to the checkered. But unlimited attempts at a green, white, checkered.
Very similar, in fact exact, from what we see with the NASCAR National Series, with the Craftsman Truck Series, the O'Reilly Auto Parts, and the NASCAR Cup Series.
And this is not what Ryan Stone and the boys and Ken Massa and the boys in the 51 pit box want to see, right? They want to see their car just come home clean. You see him pacing around there. Stone is like, why can this not just be over?
Had built a nice 1.1 second lead in a matter of just a couple of green flag laps. Was able to get away from Tyler and the rest of the field for Justin Bonsignor. And we'll have to do it again.
But look, if there's a guy I want in my car leading the race late in the race, it's Justin Bonsignor. He's won 47 of these for a reason. Looking for 48. I asked him today, I said, you going to go after Stefanik's record with 74? He's like, I always thought I did, but, you know, I got kids, and I don't know that I want to do this that long now. I want to spend some more time with them. But if he keeps winning at the rate he's at, man, he might have to do it.
Has led only 2 laps here coming into tonight over the first 4 runnings of this event. Now finds himself at the front of the field more than anybody here this evening.
And remember, the last time that Tyler Ripkema and Justin Bonsignor raced for a win, it was that thrilling finish at Loudon last year where the 3-car came away. He came away with the win, but no right front on his car.
Spotters on the roof, overlooking this half-mile oval, including Justin's. Might have his hands full here in the next and final mile of this event.
I'm telling you, my palms are sweating just sitting here, and I'm not even doing anything. I'm so excited for these guys. I love these races, and after 200 laps, we're going to have a green, white, checkered finish to finish this thing off.
Don't forget, race number 2 for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour next month, March 27th at the Martinsville Speedway in Virginia. They ran there at the tail end of last season, was the championship race for this tour. And they'll run there a bit earlier this year to kick off a busy weekend of racing at Martinsville. And we're off to the icebreaker at the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park on April 12th. Oxford Plains back on the schedule this year for the first time since 1991, the first weekend of May. Seekonk, Riverhead, White Mountain, a nice variety of racetracks. We talked about Stafford earlier this broadcast. They're on the schedule for the first time in a number of seasons on August 28th. And the championship race returns to Thompson.
I love that. I love Thompson. And that's such. Talking to a lot of these guys, and we have 18 verbal commitments for the tour this year, more than we've had in years. And it's because of the money that's being offered, the tire situation costing less money for the teams, and the schedule closer to home. They love these racetracks. It's going to be a great year for the Whelen Modified Tour.
And a lot of the travel that we're going to see here at New Smyrna, where a lot of the teams are anyway, because they're going to run the midweek portion with the Tour Type Modifieds. And Martinsville, that's before a lot of the weekly grind really begins to take place, and a lot of the New England tracks open up for the season. So get a lot of those long haul events out of the way here early in the season. 2 laps to settle it here tonight. Lined up, ready to go. Justin Bonsignor will bring him around. Tyler Ripkema to the outside of the front row. Patrick Emmerling to the inside of row 2. Green is back up. Bonsignor not able to get away under this restart. Ripkema pinching him right down to the bottom and holding that high side momentum in the 3-car top side. Bonsignor to the bottom, coming around off of turn number 4. White flag, 1 to go. Baldwin out of shape further back, but the leader took the white as they go to turn number 2. Caution comes out, and Justin Bonsignor finds himself at the front of the field at the time of caution.
Win number 48 for Justin Bonsignor. He did so good, staying disciplined, hooking the bottom, not using the 3-car up, and not becoming vulnerable. He's going to drive under the caution and the checkered here and take the win tonight in New Smyrna.
Checkered flag is out, and Justin Bonsignor wins the New Smyrna Beach Area Visitors Bureau 200 season opener for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Under caution, and we had a feeling that something was going to break loose at the back of the pack, and being up front was going to be so important that when you take the white, Justin was there by a car length over Tyler Ripkema to pick up his first Tour win here at New Smyrna Speedway. Continuing to add to his win total in legacy here on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. What a career it has been for the four-time champ. Picks up win number 48 in his 243rd start here this evening.
Austin Beers able to get clear down the backstretch there from fourth into third, so he'll park it on the front stretch on the podium as well. But tonight is all about one man. You see him right there. Justin Bonsignore going to victory lane for the 48th time, all with Ken Massa, and they got Ryan Stone at the helm. Such a good job by this 51 team tonight.
We'll go down trackside, hear from him in just a moment, beginning their 10th year with partnering with Phoenix Communications and that Ken Massa Motorsports team, and celebrating that start of a 10th season with a victory here this evening on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour for Justin Bonsignore. Tyler Ripkema has made his way down trackside, finishing in the second spot here this evening. Austin Beers third, Patrick Emmerling and Craig Lutz the top five. You got a good look at the entire finishing order just a moment ago.
I love seeing Old Blue up front. Like, there's nothing better than seeing the four-time champ and Tyler Ripkema and Old Blue and the defending champ all battling it out. Last year's race winner comes home fourth. You see how they lined up there, coming to the last green flag, green, white, checkered. It was after 200 laps, the cream has rose to the top. The cream of the crop rose to the top, and it's Justin Bonsignore that comes away with it.
You mentioned the Bowler team. They have been part of this modified tour since the beginning and well beyond the beginning of the tour concept in 1985. The Bowler family has kept Old Blue going, and at the front of the field more times than not has a team that has found so much success with so many drivers. And Tyler Ripkema coming home with a runner-up finish here tonight. Fresh off a win late last season, his first career at New Hampshire. Justin Bonsignore picking up his first career win here at New Smyrna. We'll go down trackside and hear from him in just a moment.
So special victory lane here at New Smyrna. I think about all the greats: Teddy Christopher, Richie Evans, Mario Fiore's 44 cars, Reg Ruggiero, the best of the best in modified racing, and Justin adds his name to that list again tonight.
Modified racing, a long history here at the New Smyrna Speedway, dating back to 1976 for tour-type modified competition. NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour in their 5th visit here tonight.
Congratulations from all his team. Getting ready to do the hat dance. No better feeling in the world.
We'll go down trackside now. Justin Bonsignore about to climb out of the car. Let's hear from our first winner of the 2026 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, Justin Bonsignore, with Bob Dillner.
The drive for 5 is alive for Justin Bonsignore as he wins the season opener for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. And he is pumped up. Justin, that car looked near perfect here today. Congratulations from Ryan Stone, your crew chief. How good was that race car?
It was good because of Ryan Stone. Guys had great pit stops all night, but just a total team effort. It's been a tough winter for us, and this just feels good to come out and do what we did today. We had a great car. We obviously got the opportunity to do the tire test here, but we learned a lot. Even if it was going to stick with the Hoosiers that night, we just, we worked really hard on some new stuff that we've been hesitant to try while we're in points battles. But it was really good, and just some lines we learned at the test was good. Being that tight on rears only with 20 to go, moving around in 3 and 4. But just a great race for us. So thank all the fans for coming out here tonight. It's a little chilly, I know that, but it was a great race with Ryan there for a while, and Tyler kept us honest on the last bunch of starts. So just a great start to the year. I just want to thank Mark Langevin, the Langevin family from Phoenix Communications. He's been with us. This is our 10th anniversary together, so that's special. Clearcom IT Solutions, Fury Race Cars, Robert Yates Engines, M3 Technology, Ken and Janine Massa. The whole pit crew, they had great stops all night. We've been getting on them about some stops, but like I said, it's been a tough winter for us. We don't know what we're doing, but winning fixes all we said. So we're gonna have some fun tonight. My boys are here. One of them's crying. I don't know if the other one's awake, but just special. Oh, he is awake. So just amazing. First win here on the tour in Smyrna. I've been close a handful of times. Silk's kind of whooped my butt, and it's nice to get one tonight. So like I said, appreciate everybody, NASCAR, everybody, American Racer, everybody that puts these deals together. There's a lot of hard work going on in the tour right now, and it's showing that with the car counts and the commitments from people. So yeah, just super excited, and now we got a vacation the rest of the week and trying to watch some racing.
Last 3 years, third, second. He gets the win here today at New Smyrna Speedway, and now he gets to dig into this bucket right here with the American Racers, the team coming down, getting a big celebratory hug and so forth.
First, most tour wins all time now. We were tied with the Banzel group, and Ken Massa now has that. He ain't going to want any acknowledgement of it, but we're proud of him, and I've been with him since 2009, and he's changed my life on and off the track, the whole Massa family. So just really appreciative of them. And yeah, this is awesome.
Ken has meant the world to you. 48 career NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour wins for Justin Bonsignore, and he selects number 19. So what that means, the 19th place finisher here tonight will win a set of tires from American Racer. And that is the guy that qualified 7th here tonight, Michael Christopher Jr. Celebration continues here with the family in victory lane for Justin Bonsignore.
And unofficially finishing in the 19th position, Michael Christopher Jr. Will pick up that set of American Racers.
And I don't want to breeze over what Justin said there. Ken Massa is now the winningest car owner in modified history. That is huge. He's such a nonchalant guy. He doesn't want any credit, but what they've been able to do together for so long is so cool. You don't ever see race teams stay together and stay this strong. Really, really cool accolade for him.
Let's go back down trackside. Tyler Ripkema finishing in the 2nd spot. He's with Bob.
And before we get to this interview, I want to show you the back end of the old blue car. Banged up, battered, and bruised right here. That car is a little bit punished, but Tyler Ripkema with a good run here, runner-up finish. And describe that last restart for me, because you and Justin Bonsignore drove it deep into turn number 1.
Yeah, it was the last 3 restarts firing off on the outside, and it's so tough late in a run like this to get some good drive off the top and hang with him. And man, we were just good at the end there and tried to hang with him, and got a good restart that last one there. But it's tough. To finish 2nd, though, it's a great way to start the season out points-wise. Looking forward, it's a great way all around. I can't thank, pan over to the roof there. I had an angel riding on top with me today that we lost earlier this week. So that was awesome for the family and everything like that are most likely watching tonight.
Absolutely, and we'll continue thinking and praying for them. Tyler Ripkema, great run here tonight. We'll walk over to Austin Beers as well, the defending series champion. And Austin, you had a good run here tonight, but that car just didn't look like it was where you needed it to be at the end of the race.
Yeah, this is one race I'm happy with a third. We were struggling there. I was just a little too tight. We took rears and rears, so we didn't have a right front there at the end, and I think it hurt us. But I feel like if we did get that right front, we would have been mired in traffic. But I can't thank KLM Motorsports, Swift Springs, Brembo Brakes, everybody on this race car that helps us enough. To start the season off with a third. This is my best finish here at New Smyrna on the tour, so I can't complain.
Austin Beers, great run to back up his championship run from 1 year ago. How about that top 3 tonight here in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour opener, guys?
No doubt we'll be all contending for a championship here this season. A very competitive start to the season, and we expect that to be the case for the entire 16-race schedule here in 2026. You mentioned it a moment ago, 18 teams have already committed to run the full schedule. We have a feeling there'll be a lot more than that. Going to be a great year. Old tracks coming back onto the schedule, new tracks being added, a lot of racetracks close to home, so it's going to be a fun campaign here, and it's all going to be on Flow Racing.
Yeah, and a great night for these 3 competitors, but a tough night for that 16. We look back at Ron Silken, an early incident, his first time finishing last on the field since 2015 at Riverhead. It's going to be a long road to hoe for the 16 team, but I know that they can do it.
Going to be fun to watch him try to climb out of that hole once we begin to get the season back underway at the Martinsville Speedway next month, and then on to Thompson, where he has been so strong over the years as well. As we're about to take some of the highlights here tonight at New Smyrna Speedway, and there were a lot of them, a lot of cautions here this evening, and a lot of different strategies that came down to determining this one here tonight as we went under the green flag just about 2 hours or so ago. In the first big blow of the night, Ron Silk getting caught up in an incident in turn number 3 after contact with Ripkema, becoming the first casualty of this event.
Absolutely. That was a tough start for the 16 team. And then we see the 64 restart games all night long, and Ryan Priest comes back to the modified series, and he takes the lead early and he checks out. Then a late pit call, taking 4 tires, set him back in the field.
Was so strong in that outside lane early on and led a lot of laps in the first half of this event. Austin Beers there settling in second. At halfway, it was Priest at the point, but here came Justin Bonsignor, the 4-time champion, made his presence known at the point just past that halfway marker, and once he got up front, it was hard to get back by. The 51 car went on to dominate much of the second half of this event that went into overtime.
Yeah, it didn't come easy for Justin. He had to earn it with 4 or 5 late race restarts. Luke Baldwin, we see get tore up, coming to the white. The leaders took the white, and thankfully for Justin Bonsignor, he did not have to go to another one.
Another win here tonight for Justin Bonsignor as he continues to celebrate down trackside. We'll come back here to New Smyrna Speedway here in a little bit as Justin picks up the win here this evening at New Smyrna Speedway. Super late models, they're coming up next. Adam Mackey, Charles Kroll on deck for the super late models, our nightcap here tonight on Flow Racing from New Smyrna Speedway.